Father Hayward was dead. Camilla Fireborn was dead. Both murdered by someone aboard the Primewater Pleasure. You continued your investigations, discovering that the murderer likely entered Carmilla's cabin via the portholes, as evidenced by the rain that had fallen into the room. You decided to search the passengers' cabins again and uncovered a pouch containing the components for the spider climb spell in Skerrin's room. Galen was holding a letter that had been pushed under his door that reiterated the affair he had been having with Carmilla. It was while searching Skerrin's chamber that Atticus uncovered more evidence in a hidden drawer, and as he was reading a note suggesting the involvement of the Scarlet Brotherhood, he was attacked from behind by the butler. A tense fight ensued, with Skerrin making use of his spider climb spell to move quickly around the outside of the ship. Unfortunately, he could not escape Hecate's web spell and Atticus's grapple. With his manoeuvrability curtailed, Skerrin still put up a good fight and Atticus was nearly felled, but Hecate's use of her hex magic to animate a rope soon had the cursing assassin trussed up. Having captured the murderer, he was imprisoned in the hold of the ship, and Captain Misty turned the Pleasure around and headed back for home. And so you rested in your cabins for the night, the culprit captured, and 2 of your fellow passengers dead, and you contemplated what the fallout of the events may be when you get back to Saltmarsh. So, you're well rested, you're a few hours out from the town of Saltmarsh. What would you like to do?
Let's capture the boat.
Go and see Galen. Oh no, hang on. Oh no, I've got no. What have I got? I was very badly injured. How come I'm fine again?
Because you've had a long rest.
Oh, okay.
Shouldn't I have +7 to damage?
Okay, so I'll go and see Galen.
Okay. He's nowhere to be found. You can go to his cabin.
Yeah, I go to his cabin.
Okay, you go to his cabin. The door's shut.
Knock on the door.
One moment. Galen, looking very bleary-eyed, opens the door to you. His hair's all ruffled up. You've never seen him looking quite so untidy before. He's wearing an open shirt and some loose pants. Oh, Atticus. Good morning.
Good morning, Galen. Not sleep well?
I was up talking to Anders most of the night.
Understandable. So, I take it we're going to set sail back for Saltmarsh.
We're already halfway back. We should be back in a few hours.
Excellent. Well, if you need anything, let us know.
Well, I think we need to check on our prisoner. We'll be handing him over to Thorn when we get back, so if you want to do any questioning before he gets into Thorn's hands, that might be the time.
I want to get Dave to do a detect magic on that leather armor. See if it's magical while we're on the journey.
I'd love to, but I can't.
Oh. Is there any of the magic users on board?
Yeah, there's
There's Wexley.
Ooh, I'll ask Wexley if he'll do
What's
me a
the
favour.
armor class, Rich?
You can have it, mate, if you want it. I was just gonna get him to identify. If you really want it, you can have it. My guy's a fucking beast. My armor class is 18. It's 19 in wolf form.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Let's see what, because I wear chainmail, which might trump it anyway. It might get rid of any pluses just because chainmails are already higher than. So we'll see. See what it is.
What's your dex bonus?
+2.
Yeah, so yeah, the heavier armors, you'll benefit more from heavier armors. But like I say, we'll identify it. If you want it, you can have it, mate. I'm not bothered. My guys.
Neither of you want it. I could use it.
I expressed interest in it because I think it might be useful because I'm taking this guy. It's had Raven Feather, so I was curious if it had any stealth abilities because I'm taking my Blood Hunter because we haven't got a thief in the group. I intend my next skill thing that I can pick. Instead of having a stat increase, I was going to have like the dungeoneering skill, so my guy comes a bit more of a sort of fighter thief, you see. But
Identify and see it all best match.
yeah, I'll ask him if this wizard dude if he'll do us the honour.
Okay,
You know.
so you head down to Wexley's chamber, go through the engine room with its whirring leather belts and cogs and wheels. You find him in a hammock, his feet up, reading a book as you enter. He looks over at you. Yes?
Ah, Wesley, wondering if you could identify a couple of items from our assailants' possessions. I think it was a sword and a suit of leather. We're just curious to know its...
I can have a look at them. I can tell you if they're magical, but I haven't got around to learning the spell for identification yet.
that would be adequate. It may bear some relevance on our quest if we can perhaps identify the style of the armour or something as well. So
Okay.
it might lead us to whatever a bit more clues towards this brotherhood.
Well,
who's illegal.
lay it out on the desk then.
There
He
you are.
jumps down
There
from
you
the
go.
hammock.
Knock yourself. Go for it. Do it.
What sheet? There it is.
Because didn't his sword stab Atticus and do
His
quite
dagger.
a lot of damage?
Yeah.
His dagger, so we'll get him to have a look at that.
He starts to mutter the words to the spell, wave his hands around in a complicated manner. Even without rolling an insight, you can tell that he's really hamming it up like a stage magician. You almost expect him to pull a bunch of flowers out of his sleeve. He's sort of waving his arms around so much. He closes his eyes and he waves his hand above the dagger and the armour in a very dramatic way. Yes, I'm not getting anything from the dagger, but yes, the armour certainly is giving me very strong signals.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Now, I do have to get back to my studies.
It's alright, I've got things to get back to myself.
I'm gonna go and see.
You're
the
not special. So.
You're going to go and see who, sorry?
Scaring.
Okay, you head down to the centre deck, past the dining hall, head towards the back of the front of the ship, sorry.
Okay. Before I do, oh no, because what's his name was gardening, wasn't he?
Yes, Ergalb.
Ergal.
Yeah. Yeah, so you head down there, and as you get towards the door to the corridor that leads to the hold at the front of the ship, you hear this loud snoring.
Okay, go down and take it. Ergal's asleep.
Ergalb, yeah, he's fast asleep.
Okay, I'll check on Scaring, see if he's there or not.
Okay, you gently lift the key from Ergalb's belt, use it to open the door. As you open it, Skerin is sitting there. He shields his eyes. He's not tied up anymore. The ropes are just lying on the floor around him. Oh, it's you.
I see you untied yourself.
It's difficult to sleep otherwise.
Well, that was the idea. Get up.
We going for a walk?
Yes.
Ah, lovely. Need my morning constitutional. Gets up and stretches. Looks out over your shoulder. Oh, isn't that cute? Nods at the snoring Urgal.
I don't take my eyes off him. I don't turn around to look at Urgar or anything. I keep my eyes on him constantly.
Where we going then?
This way. I'll lead him into the dining room.
Okay.
And I pull out the chair he sat on when he slit his throat.
Yep.
Sit down. Sit down.
Oh, fuck me.
Is it breakfast time yet?
Sit down.
He sits down, smiles at you.
Okay, I sit next to him.
Okay. He's just watching you very closely. Looking into your eyes.
So tell me, what's the Scarlet Brotherhood doing in Saltmarsh?
We've been there for years.
Really?
Doing what we always do. Spreading chaos.
I'm sure you managed to spread a lot of chaos as a butler.
You have no idea, my friend.
Albeit a butler to a rather influential person. How long have you known Anders?
I was his parents' butler. Have been for the past 10 years, until they sadly died in a tragic accident.
I can see the compassion bleeding from your pores. So
I still remember them screaming.
pleasant fellow you are. So I take it you were part of the Brotherhood when you were working for them too.
Of course.
Well,
Anders is easier to manipulate, so I just had to get them out of the way.
yeah, well, he is a young mind. Very gentle soul. He's not used to people like you or I in this world.
He's very trusting.
He is. So what are you up to? Sowing your chaos and discord. What's your latest project?
My latest project came to a grinding halt, thanks to Mr. Primewater inviting you malcontents aboard this cruise.
What was the purpose of all this?
Let me tell you something about Saltmarsh, mate.
Yeah, please.
It's not a happy place. There's factions on the council. There's the traditionalists who wish to remain to the old ways of doing things. There's the loyalists.
There's the what, sorry?
The loyalists. Loyal to the Cerulean Empire. They'd like to see the town come back under Imperial control. It means there's room for disagreement, and that's where I come in.
Wow. Oh, that makes sense. The Brotherhood always thrives around areas where there is already discord.
Galen
So-
is a traditionalist. Anders was neutral on the matter, but I thought if I could push him towards the loyalist side of things, it would sow more discontent amongst the ranks of the council.
Who are the loyalists in the council?
My. You really haven't been doing your own work, have you, Seeker?
Oh, I just wait to catch scum like you and then get you to tell me.
Eleander and Manistrad would like to see more Imperial involvement. Galen and Ida are more old school.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So what's going to happen? Who's going to replace you? How's this going to work?
I don't know, I guess
you
we'll have to wait
escaping
and
within a
see.
week? Are you going to escape within a week?
Maybe. It wouldn't be the first time.
Have you ever heard of someone called General Eleanor V?
Of course. Of course I have. He's disgraced, wasn't he? Fled the Empire.
He did indeed.
What, are you looking for him? Is the Seeker seeking the General?
Well, let me see. You're the man in the know, and you seem to know everything about Saltmarsh, but I have it on good authority that he's there.
He is.
Ah, and what's he up to there? Maybe you and I can come to some sort of agreement.
I could certainly give you that information in exchange for a favour or two.
And what favour or two would that be?
You get me out of Thorn's lockup within the space of 2 nights.
And what would you do?
I think my time in Saltmarsh is at an end. I'd find some other provincial town to do my work.
You won't stick around?
Why should I? Anders and Gallen wouldn't let me.
And there's nothing but death for you there now. I'd look at him steely, cold-eyed, and try and intimidate him a bit with my intimidation skill and my teeth.
Okay, make an intimidation check. Yeah, you've got the right of it there. No,
Okay.
I'd leave Saltmarsh.
And what would happen if you didn't? I want you to tell me. I want to hear it out of your mouth, so I know you understand.
I'd be a hunted man. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night.
By whom? Who would hunt you?
The town guard, the town council, the townsfolk.
I lean into him again. They're nothing, and you wouldn't need to worry about them, but you'd need to worry about me.
Oh, I've been thinking about you a lot, Sunshine.
And just smile at him with my toothy grin.
He smiles back, but it's an icy cold smile.
Seems like you and I may have struck an accord. So, I will come, and I will free you on the second night of your incarceration under Thorn's guard. And when I do, you will then tell me everything I need to know about the General. And if you don't, and I hold my fingers up to his forehead in like a finger guns thing, and then I make my gun appear in my hand and click the cock the trigger back.
He raises an eyebrow. Neat trick, Seeker.
One of many. Come on,
Should
let's
we
get you
shake
back.
on it?
Let's get, yeah.
Man
you what,
to
sorry?
man.
Oh, I spit on my hand and hold it out to him.
Okay. Sorry, my sound's just gone weird a little bit. There we go. He spits on his hand, clasps your hand, nods and smiles his icy cold smile at you.
Well, we better go and get you some breakfast and then get you tied up for the rest of these couple of hours.
Okay, he nods.
Okay. I'll take him back.
Okay. Take him back to the cabin. You step over the still snoring form of Ergalb.
I wake Ergalb up. Go and get this guy some breakfast and drink. He's no good
I'm
person
sorry,
to
Mr.
Baron.
Baron, I fell asleep.
Sleep happens to us all.
I
Put my
was
hand on it.
having such a lovely dream. Okay, I'll go get some food.
He stands up and then waddles off.
I shut scaring inside and then just stand next to the door.
Okay. After about 15 minutes, he comes back with a platter with some eggs and warm bread on it.
Okay, I open the door and put it into the scaring. I make sure there's no implements like knives or anything. He can eat it with his hands
Okay.
and drink from the bowl.
Okay, he takes it off you. Thank you, my friend.
Acquaintance. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Everyone else is sitting there like in stunned silence.
Butcher. Well.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. That's me done for a bit. I'm just going to
Okay.
guard him whilst he eats. And...
What are the rest of you doing? It's
I
mid-morning
would-
by the time you awaken.
I'll spend a bit of time in Father Hayward's room, just making sure his body's properly dressed, and I know it's probably not a pretty sight, but just trying to make amends that I wasn't able to
Okay.
save him.
Okay,
Try my best.
you as well as you can remember after your time in the church in Saltmarsh, you lay out his vestments and his holy objects and his shells, arrange them around the body as you've seen being done in the church. Pay your last rites to him.
Yeah, close my eyes, say a few words over him, kiss my amulet, and wish him the gods speed.
Okay.
Quietly shut the door and walk away and get some fresh air. That's it.
Okay. What are the rest of you doing? What would Kat and Tiberius be doing? Tiberius has been to see Wexley.
I'm just going to keep watch outside of Scarin's room, make sure he can't get out, make sure he's all tied up again.
Oh, okay. When Hecate gets there, thanks, Hecate. Hope you don't mind. I'm going to go and get some breakfast.
Does that mean I can go and start cooking now?
Yeah, you can go and see to the rest of the ship. Hecate will guard this door.
Okay. Thank you.
Seems so sad.
No, should we give him a big hug?
Okay, is anybody doing anything for the rest of the journey back to Saltmarsh?
No.
Okay. Alright, so...
Unless anyone can speak Draconic on the ship, I would like to resume my Draconic lessons.
The only person you know of that can speak Draconic is Aleander back in Saltmarsh.
That's fine. As you were.
Okay. Right. You head back, and the ship arrives back at Gallen's private dock. It's about 6 o'clock in the evening by the time it gets back. You haven't seen Anders all day. When the ship docks, he eventually comes out of his cabin. He looks over at Gallen, his eyes quite icy. Comes up on deck. I'm just gonna go home if that's alright. Can you take care of everything here with Gallen?
Yeah, you've been through the mill, mate. We'll sort this.
Thank you. He nods, he takes one lingering look back at the boat, and then shuffles off, a forlorn figure, into the streets.
That's get fucking work emails.
Yeah, what was that? On the last session, I got a note from Father Hayward's desk, list of the crew, mate, with some ticks next to some of them.
Yeah, it was a list of names, and some of the names had a list of ships and names of crew members of those ships with a tick beside some of their names.
I don't suppose you've got anything to share that I can look at there, or...
Nope, I haven't.
I'll memorise them and keep my eye out for them ships.
Okay. Alright, yeah, you can take the list with you.
Yeah.
Where can I go to get this leather armor identified while we're in town?
I mean, the only person possibly might be Kaladek.
Ooh. Did we have anything that Kaladek needed? Or was he still after... He's just after General Relics on our travels, isn't he, still?
Yeah.
We didn't have any notes or scrolls or anything to give him.
I just thought if I was going to see him, I could kill two birds with one stone, or if someone wanted to come.
He was in the middle of that big spell thing when somebody went to see him last.
Okay. I'll go see him. I'll go see Kaladek. We hadn't got to be anywhere.
Okay. No. Okay. So as you make your preparations to leave and head up to Kaladek, Galen comes out. My friends, I'm going to go and get Captain Thorn. Would you mind just watching the ship until I get back with him?
Well, it doesn't take all of us. Bye. Ta-ra a bit.
He looks at Atticus and Kat and Rhodry.
Sorry, what was that? I was having to deal with a work thing. My apologies. I don't know what's happening. I missed the last 2 minutes.
Galen's come out. He's asked you to just keep an eye on things while he goes and gets Captain Thorn.
Yeah, we'll wait. I want to speak to Thorn.
Okay. Okay. So Tiberius leaves and Galen leaves to head up to the barracks. Galen walks alongside you as you cross the bridge, and then you separate around the cliffs on the west side of the town. And you make your way down to Kaladek's tower.
Excellent.
Yay, Kaladek!
Do.
One moment.
He opens the door, peers down at you.
Oh, if it isn't our little blood hunter.
Good morning to you, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening to you, sir. After a bit of a favour, me old Calapops. And I'll show him this leather arm. I said, seeing as we've kind of still on the relic hunt for you, just thought maybe I could just squeeze a favour out and you could just identify this for me, please. And I hand it out with a big smile on my face.
Very interesting. I can tell that it has a glamour of some sort on it. Would you be able to leave it with me overnight?
Yes.
Come back tomorrow then.
Thank you. Is there anything I can get for you while I'm in town? Do you need anything?
He smiles.
No, thank you.
Very well. See you tomorrow. And I'll skip down the drive.
Okay. As you're waiting on the ship, Captain Misty comes and stands next to you. Atticus.
Yeah.
She signs to you with her fingers. We need to talk.
I sign back after Thorn's been.
She nods. After about 30 minutes, Galen comes back. You can see that he's got Captain Thorn with him. There's also 3 other guards in tow, and also Eleander, who is striding determinedly down the street towards the ship, a look of fury on his face.
Okay. Make sure we're standing in between Skerrin and Eleander.
Okay. Eleander strides up the gangplank of the ship, stares over your shoulder.
Is this him? Is this the one?
This is him.
Where is she?
I look at Galen. I don't know where we kept Thingy's body.
I'll take you down, Galen. Eleander, follow me. They both head down to the lower deck. Eleander's just staring daggers at Skerrin as they go through the hatch. Captain Thorn comes up.
Welcome back to Saltmarsh, Commander.
Nice to see you, Captain. Let's get this prisoner up to the jail.
A terrible series of events, I think you'll agree.
Absolutely. Keep him isolated from the other prisoners. Do you have any buildings that are separate from the normal guard block?
He'll be put in the normal jail, but in a cell on his own.
Yeah, he can speak to people in jail, Captain.
I will post a guard outside of his cell at every hour of the day and every hour of the night.
Excellent. The only person who's allowed to visit him is me.
He raises an eyebrow. I'll have to check with Mr. Fireborn.
Nod at him, Captain. Hand over, Scarin.
He nods at the two guards and they go over and grab him roughly, one to each arm. As Scarin passes you, he just looks across at you. Atticus just gives you a cold smile.
Look at him. Don't give any response.
You march him off up the street.
And watch his back as he's marched away.
Okay.
Oh, lead away.
I'll go and find Misty.
Misty's on deck watching all this.
Now the prisoner's been taken, I'll just head back to the snapping line.
Okay, what are you doing, Rhodry? Are you heading to snapping line as well?
If you don't mind, Gillen, I think I better notify the temple here about Father Hayward's death. Then.
Yes, good idea, Rhodry. Thank you for your assistance. I only wish it hadn't been needed.
I'm sorry for falsely accusing you earlier. And
I understand the evidence was compelling.
whatever secrets or whatever was discussed aboard the ship will stay sealed behind my lips.
He nods and grins at you. I've always said I could count on you people.
I'll be off.
He turns around and heads off with Gordon and the guards. Okay, Cat heads back to the snapping line. Atticus, what are you doing? Are you hanging back?
Sorry, what was that, mate?
So, Cat's heading off to the snapping line, Rhodry's heading to the church.
I'm going to speak to Misty.
Okay. Yeah, she's...
Whichever, the stern or the...
She's on the poop deck, but she's overseeing the ship. Just going, checking a few lines, making sure everything's ship shape.
I'll go and stand at the furthest part of the ship away from anyone, ship hands, or Gellin or anyone, and then signal to her when she sees me.
She comes over after a moment. That was some voyage.
Yeah, I was looking to relax.
So, I saw the note.
Yeah.
What are your plans?
The plans are to eventually turn Skerin. I think his cockiness leads him to release too much information. I'm going to be setting him free from jail in 2 days' time, for which he's going to give me information about where the location of the general is.
Do you think that's wise? Skerin is a dangerous customer.
Oh, he is, but he's moving to another town, so he's had our hair for a while. And you never know, this relationship that he and I seem to be developing might come in useful later.
I can't say I agree with your actions, but it's not my business. I have my own orders. When you return to base, I will be staying here in Saltmarsh, keeping an eye on things until you can return. It may be a few weeks, I imagine. I don't know why they've called you back.
I understand.
But there is a friendly ship leaving in just over 10 days' time for Keymouth.
What's the name of the ship and the captain?
The ship is called No More Mr. Nice Guy.
God. And the captain?
The captain's called Huggy Bear.
and the captain?
Hold on, sorry. Just looking it up.
Just go with Huggy.
Captain Rain.
Have I heard of that before?
No.
Well, thank you, Misty. I guess our paths will be crossing even more.
I'll be staying in the Wicker Goat if you need me. Come see me before you leave.
I'm not there.
One more thing. If there's anyone you can trust, you seem to have put a team together here, and they seem to have some respect for you. It might be worth taking them along.
I'll have to see if they'll come.
Of course.
Atticus is like Hannibal Smith.
But from what I understood on the note, you were able to offer some financial incentive if it required.
Thank you.
She nods.
Until next time, Captain.
Safe seeking.
I nod as I'm walking up. Pull up my poncho around my shoulders.
Okay. Rhodry, you head to the church. What are you going to do there? You're just going to notify them about...
Yes, I'm gonna pull the whoever's there attending the temple, pull them aside, and inform them that unfortunately Father Wyndham was murdered by a member of the Scarlet Brotherhood, and his body's aboard the pleasure ship in the harbour.
Okay, yeah, you've, just bear with me 1 second. Yeah, you find Welgar brine-handed there, barefoot in his pale blue robes, a large necklace of shells around his neck. He takes the news stoically, but is obviously quite upset by the news. He tells you that the father didn't have any family here other than his flock.
Yeah. Terrible tragedy. I could accompany you to the ship now if you want, or do you want to... some extra time.
Well, I can make arrangements. I can come out with some of the acolytes.
Okay.
Thank you for all you've done.
That's no problem. I'll inform the captain of the ship that you'll be along.
Thank you, my son.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I'll head back to the boat, see who's still there.
Yeah, Misty's still there. Ergab's on deck helping to fold up some of the sails and things.
Yes, Captain Misty, yes, some members of the Order of Procan from the Temple here in Saltmarsh will be along for Father Wyndham's body.
Oh, thank
shortly.
you. I'll make sure they have access when they arrive.
Yes. Well, I'm sorry it turned out like that. Will you be sailing off? Are you
I'm here for a while.
Uh-huh.
I'll be in the Wicker Goat if you need anything.
Oh, I do believe we're staying in the Snapping Line.
Ah. A good place from what I hear.
Yes. Wonderful. Well, farewell. Thank you for the hospitality.
Okay. So, Tiberius, you heading back to the Snapping Line as well after you've seen Kaladek?
Yes, please, Games Master.
Okay.
Sorry, I muted my mic. I was having a sneezing fit. Sorry.
Okay, so Kat, you arrive there first. It's quite busy.
Right, I'm going to grab some food and drinks. I haven't eaten anything on the ship.
Okay, Hannah wanders over to you. Oh, you're back. Is Rhodry around?
Yeah, I think he's on his way here.
Oh, can you tell him to come and see me when he gets back?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. Tiberius comes into the tavern at this point.
Sup, fuckers? Stroll over to the bar.
Okay, you
Oh,
get
my eyes
yourself
put
some
my head
drinks
down.
and so on. Shortly after, Atticus and Rhodry arrive back.
Rhodry, the bartender's looking for you.
Oh, Hannah. Oh, okay. Thank you. Are you staying at this table?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I sit down next to Cat. Just nod at you.
Right, I'll wander over to the bar then. And try and
Okay,
find-
Hannah's rushed off her feet.
I know.
She tells you just to wait a moment while she finishes serving some people, and she comes over. Oh, Rhodry. Sorry about that. It's very busy tonight.
Is this good?
Very good, yes. Yes, things are going well. This place has really turned round in the last few years. Rhodry, I've got a letter turned up for you. You see her fingering a parchment. It's from home.
Oh.
She offers it to you.
I'll take it. Thank you.
Of course.
Who brought it?
Some messenger coming through town off one of the boats. It's
Thank you.
with one of the shipments of barley.
When was the last time, GM, when was the last time we ate? Like, we had dinner, I take it.
Yeah, you had something on the ship on the way back around about midday. It's about 7 in the evening now.
I could have a round of drinks for, we're over at that table over there.
Yes, I'll send Ham over shortly.
Yeah, oh, great, thank you. I'll take the letter away and, I think I'll head back to the table, sit down, and take the letter out and read it.
Okay.
I won't say anything.
I'm just looking at him, reading the letter.
Can't read that. Do I need glasses?
No.
I can't read that.
Do you want to read it out, Dave, just for...
Dearest Rhodry, I hope this letter somehow reaches you. I'd heard you had gone to Saltmarsh, so I sent it to Ms. Wrist. Is that Wrist?
It is, yeah.
In the hope that she knows your whereabouts and pass it on. I know that you have no longer. I know that you have no longer, dear God, it is killing us. Have any love for Manzaro, the people. All the people of the community, especially that you have no time for your stepfather. I pray to Pelor that you'll put that animosity aside. But great service this town gave you. There's something terribly wrong here. Awfully, terribly wrong. Please, I beg you, put aside your issues. Visit us as soon as you are able. I fear for our future. Whatever you decide, I love you both. Yes. What? I go white as a sheet and just clasp a letter to my chest.
Okay.
Troubles, Rhodry.
Seems like it. Word from home. I think I may have to leave you and head back.
Where's home?
Penzaro, just down the coast.
Penzaro is in the Keylands, just south of Keymouth.
Yes, a letter from my mother. I haven't seen her for since quite a long time. She says there's trouble there.
I might be able to help you there.
Well, she sounds pretty desperate.
I know of a ship that's leaving for Keymouth in 10 days.
10 days.
You won't find one before off the docks.
How? I suppose it would take longer than that to travel overland.
It would take a lot longer, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. How do we go about? How do I go about booking passage on it then?
I'll organise it.
Yeah, just so you're aware, if you bear with me 1 second. So Keymouth is about 350 miles as the crow flies. But it's by road it would be a journey of nearly 800 miles. By ship maybe 500.
Oh yeah, I could. Oh yeah, I've just pulled up. God, yeah, it's bloody miles. Guess I'll have to wait. Maybe another letter will come. I don't know. I just sit there looking distracted. Pensive.
Okay.
What you can do about it right now, Rhodry.
I suppose you're right.
And have a drink with us.
Oh yes, Hannah said she was sending somebody over.
Ham
Right, sorry.
runs up to the table. Oh, hello, hello, Commander. Hello, everybody. He
Yeah.
wipes a big stream of snot from his nose with one hand. What can I get you?
I'll have a mead, thanks.
One
Something
mead?
strong. Something
No.
strong, please.
Get me an ale.
Firewater, Mr.
That'll
Melwith?
do.
Okay,
Make that 2 firewaters.
right, you are,
Ham,
miss. Yes?
you and I need to catch up at some point. Point my finger at him.
Oh, right, sir. I've got another hour left on my shift yet.
No worries, we'll speak later.
Okay, and then I'm supposed to go straight home. Will it be quick?
We can speak tomorrow.
Okay. He rushes off to get the drinks. Oh, miss, do you want a drink?
Ale, please, Ham. Thank you.
Right, you are. He rushes off to get the drinks. Okay, would anybody like to do anything for the remainder of the evening?
Let's have a few drinks. Check on Rhodry, check he's alright.
Just relax. You know, you got to have your little, you got to have your R&R between battles.
Yeah,
I think I might have a bit too much to drink, and it's good for me.
Yeah, I think we need a good blowout, to be honest.
Okay, so the firewater turns up, and the other drinks. You settle down for a night of drinking. Some of you celebrating, some of you relaxing, and some of you drowning your fears in the bottle of the glasses. What we're going to do...
Atticus has his normal, makes his one drink last all evening.
Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to run into 10 days of downtime now. So I know that Atticus has a few things he wants and needs to do during that time, as well as any other downtime actions. So what would you like to do over the next week? I'll read you a summary of everything that happens during the week. But
Other than going back to learning to speak Draconic,
okay.
resuming my lessons, I will squeeze in a visit to Kaladek to see.
Okay, Kaladek does, when you come the next day, he's quite excited about the armour.
Ah.
Yes, I was right, my man. This is a glamoured leather.
Hmm?
Yes, you see the runes on the inside of the collar here.
Mm.
This is a command word. You speak the command word, and the armour will assume the appearance of whatever you like, really. Colour, style, accessories, any sort of clothing. But it retains its normal bulk and weight. Yes, and it will turn away even the heaviest blows.
It's a spy.
It's +1 glamoured studded leather that you can speak the command word, and it will take on the appearance of whatever clothing you wish. Though it remains armour, it's still as hard and bulky.
Yeah, there's no dex limit on that. Okay, thank you, Kaladek, and then I will go and resume my lessons.
Okay, and you head up and you find Eleander, and initially he doesn't want to talk to you. He's still grieving, but make a persuasion check for me.
Oh, fucking hell.
He says, come back tomorrow. Maybe it'll do me some good, take my mind off things.
Okay.
You go back the next day, make another persuasion check.
he's still not willing. You rolled a 1, I'm afraid. Third day, you head back. Come on, you can do it.
I've got no persuasion skills.
Oh, that was nearly a 1 again. On the third day, he begrudgingly allows you in. You don't learn much on the third day, but over the next couple of days, he does begin to open up. And with his nose in the books, it does take his mind upon his recent loss. And by the end of the week, yes, you can speak Draconic, at least well enough to converse.
Excellent.
Kat, what would you like to do during the week?
Pretty sure. I don't remember what the last thing in my little story was. But
You, you were trying to learn herbcraft, I think, with Ferrin, the gnome.
oh yeah, yeah. I'll go and do some more of that. I think.
Okay, you find Ferrin in the grove, feeding a big juicy blue bottle to his pet toad. He looks up at you. What? Yes.
Good day, sir. I was hoping that we could continue where we left off.
Oh yes, of course. I certainly would welcome the opportunity to talk about the bounties of nature and its wonderful herbs and plants. What? Yes.
Fantastic.
Okay, you spend the next few days studying with him. And just bear with me 1 second. I'm going to give you proficiency in nature
Okay.
when it's related to herbs and plants.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, so you spend a week with Ferrin. You find him quite enjoyable company, if slightly eccentric. He gets very excited about tiny little toadstools and mushrooms and starts reeling off stories, and he gets distracted by his own stories. You keep having to bring him back to talking about the facts of things. But by the end of the week, you feel you've learned quite a bit, though you do have to pick through all the distractions of his tales to get there.
Fantastic.
That's going to make things interesting.
What?
Who wants to go next, Rhodry or Atticus?
I'd like to. I'll go down to the docks and try and lose myself in learning how to navigate on with a ship and just give myself some hard physical labour.
Can you make an intelligence check for me, please?
Yeah.
Okay. Your experiences of the last few weeks stand you in good stead. You've spent quite a lot of time over the last few weeks learning about sea vessels, and you actually pick things up pretty quickly. And I'm now going to give you proficiency in waterborne vehicles.
I'll also just keep my ear out and ask about the ships that were listed in Father Hayward's.
Make a charisma check for me.
Father Hayward's notes.
Yeah, what was the name of that note, please?
The gnome was Ferrin Castellar. Yeah, after asking a few of the dock hands, and you ask your friend Sam, the one you met up in the empty net that night you went there, and
and he notices a couple of the ship names were ships that were sunk over the last few months. And he recognises a couple of the names that have got ticks next to them, and he tells you that those people were sadly lost at sea.
Oh dear. And yeah. Are we sure to put some coppers in the coins at the temple to Procam for them then?
Okay.
Right. Oh.
Okay, which brings us to Atticus, who's got 2 or 3 things to do, I think. Atticus?
Okay. Right. So first thing in the morning, I'm going to arrange to have my meeting with Ham.
Mm-hmm. So Ham comes to see you. Yes, Commander. Agent Hamley Barley Wayne reporting for duty.
So Ham, how have you been since I've gone?
Well, I've been...
Use your judgment as to what you think I should know.
Oh. It's been busy.
So what about Ingo Boulderfist? I asked you to keep eyes on him.
He's scary, sir. I told you before, I went into his shop and I saw all the medals behind his counter. But I don't like him.
What sort of medals were they?
Shiny ones, sir. Big ones. One shaped like a star with a trident in it. One of them was bright blue.
Does that mean anything to me, Neil?
You know that blue is the colour of the Cerulean Empire.
Okay. Are there any medals that are given in the Cerulean Empire that have a trident and a star?
Trident's generally given to naval, as a naval medals, on naval medals, but you couldn't tell which specifically based on Ham's rather botched description.
And anything interesting on where he's going, who's visiting him?
Oh, there's been a few people visiting him, but I didn't know who they were. Oh,
Strange.
and Mrs. Oland went to see him.
Mrs. Oland went to see him?
Yeah, from the council.
Oh, excellent.
She's lovely.
Ada Oland, yes, she's a lovely one. How long did she stay?
Not long. 10 minutes. I didn't even have time to finish my pie.
Oh. Well, I'll give him, let me mark this off, I'll give him another 2 silver pieces.
He kind of starts hopping from foot to foot excitedly.
This is a lot of money, Ham.
Oh, thank you.
What's going on?
I don't know if I should mention this as well, sir. Seems a bit weird. And you said not to say stuff you might not be interested in. No, in fact, forget I mentioned it.
Tell me.
Well, it's very silly, but I had this weird dream.
Yeah.
There was like this giant pulsing heart. It was massive. It was the size of a horse. And there was a man trapped inside it. And he said to me, "My dear and good friend, it is so nice to meet you." Like that. Anyway, in the dream he asked me to go to Crabber's Cove, but I didn't. There was something scary about him.
One of the vampire speaking communicating. Yeah.
I spent enough time down near Crabber's Cove watching Ingo's place.
Yeah. Thank you, this is important.
Oh,
want you-
right! He puffs his shoulders out.
I want you to know that the trapped figure is not a friend, and he's trying to convince you to release him. He is real, and he has the power to infiltrate our dreams. He has done the same to me.
It was just a dream.
It's
Don't
just a
listen to him.
dream. It's not
No.
real.
I slap him round the face.
It was just a dream, Mr. Baron. There's a big line of snot dripping onto his shirt.
You're unbecoming of an agent. Stand up straight.
Yes. Tries to straighten himself up.
That's more like it. Well done.
It'll be.
I want you to keep an eye out and speak to your friends and talk to them about their dreams. I want to hear if anybody else is having these strange dreams.
Okay. Sorry.
On your way, lad. Don't spend it all at once.
Yes, sir. He gives you a half-hearted salute, which turns into a nose wipe on the way
I'll
down.
ruffle his hair.
Okay. Thank you for
That's
everything. He runs off.
That's like that. Fuck around the
Okay, so that's the ham bit done. Next I am going to go and see Eleander.
Okay. Okay, you head up to Eleander's house and knock on the door. It's a while before it's answered. He comes to the door. Yes, I'm busy.
I was wondering if I could have some of your time. When should I come back?
Come back this evening. I'm teaching at the moment. You can see Tiberius over his shoulder, reading through a book.
I see. And is he picking up the tricks well? Have you got him to sit yet?
I heard that, Baron.
Hi, Tiberius.
Morning.
Okay, I'll see you tonight. Thank you, Eleander.
Okay. So you head back in the evening, I presume.
Yes.
Okay, you head back. He seems quite distracted. So what's this about?
Are you okay?
What do you think?
Well, I understand that you're going to be in pain, but it seems more than that.
It's been a bit of a buggering week, Commander.
Well,
I'm in the middle of organising the funeral.
Well, these are not fun times, unfortunately. Times when you might need strong allies, maybe.
Get to the point.
Have you ever heard of the Royal Oberhelm family?
Oberhelm family. It rings a bell. From Keymouth.
Of course, part of the Cerulean Empire.
I used to live in Keymouth.
Yes. And I understand that you may have designs on bringing the protection of the Empire back to Saltmarsh.
I make no secret of the fact I think that security could be improved around here with a few stout blue jackets.
And not to mention the political power it would bring to you.
He doesn't say anything.
You've had a massive loss, Eleander. There is no worse chaos to be sown than losing such a close family member. You need friends, a position, power.
I have friends of position and power back in the capital.
Of the royal family.
No, but in the Senate.
A powerful body nonetheless. I need your help. And I can bring you much help in return.
What do you want?
The prisoner.
He's to be shipped out to Seaton to stand trial in the courts there.
No, he's not.
beg your pardon?
You're going to give him to me,
Why would I do that?
because the Empire would be most grateful. His position and his influence goes much further than just the small town of Saltmarsh. The Empire has a strong interest in him.
He murdered my daughter.
Oh, and the pain and torture that will befall him will be much more than sitting in a jail cell for the rest of his life. I can promise you that. But for now, we need him.
Commander, I am a man of the Empire, second. I am a father. I was a father, first. You are far down the list, I am afraid. Make a persuasion check, please.
Okay.
Making a drink. Yeah.
Oh my god, -3 because of my teeth.
Now, I suggest you leave me alone to do my job and to organise the funeral of my only daughter.
My sincere condolences to you, Eleander. And as I reach the door, I look over my shoulder. You do realise the Empire always gets what it wants. I'm taking him anyway.
We'll see about that. I warn you, do not go against the law of the land.
It'd only be about the 20th one I've broken today. Walk out.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So, so I'm going to head up to the jail.
Okay. You going on your own? Are you taking anyone with you? Or?
No, I'm going to go on my own
Okay.
and see Thorn.
Okay. Thorn's having a drink with a couple of the guards in the common room. Oh, Commander! Come and join us for a drink.
You know I don't drink too much, Captain. Nice to see you. I'll share a half with you.
He nods at one of the guards who goes to fill a mug from a nearby barrel.
So, how's your guest then?
Remarkably uncommunicative.
Well, that's why I'm here. I wonder, could I have some time with him? I wish to question him.
You can have 10 minutes. He's due to be shipped out to Seaton.
Absolutely. When's that happening?
Tomorrow.
Nice. Okay, so I'll have my beer with him, and then I'll get up and say, if you wouldn't mind, Captain, thank you.
He leads you downstairs. There's a guard standing outside a cell. It's cold. It's dark, lit by a few guttering torches in the jails, which are built below the ground level. Old stone dressing the walls. He leads you up to a cell door. He's in there. You've got 10 minutes. He nods at the guard who unlocks the door.
Go in.
Scarin's sitting on a small wooden pallet. He's wearing grey cloth clothes, completely unmarked. He looks up at you. Hello, friend.
Garen?
Well, He just sits there staring at you.
Have they been treating you?
Wonderfully.
Okay, what's the guard doing at the minute?
He's not in the cell with you. He shut the door behind you, but he's still standing outside.
Okay, as I'm talking to Scarin, I start taking my clothes off and I nod with him at him to start taking his off, and I start taking my clothes off.
Oh dear, is this the plan?
It's an easy one. I don't talk much. All you got to do is pull your collar up and walk out and wave as they say goodbye.
What's your height?
I am. Hang on. Oops.
Scarin is 6 foot.
I'm 6'1".
Oh, okay. Okay. He gets undressed.
I give him my clothes with my poncho.
Okay, he puts them on.
And then I hold up my fist in front of his face, and then I point at my cheek.
Really?
Hold up my hands to him, just like, come on, just fucking hit me.
He kicks you in the bollocks really hard. As you double over in pain, he then uppercuts you.
Yeah.
And knocks you flying back.
Okay. I just slump against the wall. I don't know if it's knocked me unconscious, but I'm going to pretend like it has.
Yeah, it doesn't. You take a couple of points damage. There's no need to mark it.
I'm going to slump against the wall and I'm going to nod at the gates, and because for him to go out.
Okay, hold on one sec. Let me just minimise that.
Did he lock me in, the guard, with him?
No.
No, he didn't. So, as Scarin goes to walk out, Neil, because I'm not knocked out, and just before he walks out the gate, I'm going to say in a loud voice, "I'm done here, I'm leaving."
Okay, just as you say that, the guard is at the door. He says, "What was that?" And then you kind of interrupt him with your comment. Scarin opens the door and walks out. Let me just... Sorry, just rolling some deception checks and things.
He's a sneaky fucker, that Scarin.
Okay, you lying there, not moving. You hear as Scarin walks out, the guard suddenly "Hey, hold on a minute!" And you hear in a perfect replication of your voice, "What is it, man? I'm in a hurry." He says, "Oh, you left your weapons, sir. Here they are." That's all you hear.
Okay. I just slump there and leave it for about 2 hours.
Okay.
And then I'll shout out, "Oh,
Okay. You spend the rest of the evening being questioned by Thorn and the guards about what happened.
Same story, he jumped me."
Yeah. Gord, make a persuasion check for me.
Fuck. Persuasion is awful.
I know.
Might as well just give it up.
Or you can make a performance if you prefer.
Well, I'll make a performance.
Gordol doesn't seem convinced, but there's no evidence against what you're telling him. But you can tell he thinks something's up, but he can't. You know him from before. He's not the most intelligent guy. You know he'll get there in the end. It's just a matter of how long it's going to take him.
Right.
But for now, he lets you go, and he checks you're okay, and starts ordering guards to go out and search the area.
Okay, I walk out, and when I'm about halfway back on the fields, walk back, I hold my hands out. I hold my hands out, and my gun and my sword appear.
Okay. You're heading back down to towards the snapping line. Make a perception check for me.
There we go.
You feel someone's watching you, and as you start to head towards the marketplace, a figure steps out from behind one of the shadows of one of the trees.
Yeah.
You want these back, I suppose? And a sack flies out of the shadows towards you.
I grab them off him.
You notice just behind him, there's some legs sticking out from behind the tree from a body.
Oh dear. I'm looking at him. Remember, you're leaving Saltmarsh tonight. Now.
I'm already gone.
I just walk past him. Don't look back.
Okay. You have your stuff back.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, and sorry this is a bit Mark focused at the moment, everybody.
Okay.
We'll move on shortly. Anything else for the rest of the week, Atticus?
No, that's it. I'm just going to go and see the no Mr. Nice Guy, no more Mr. Nice Guy, and Captain Rain.
Yeah.
Set up passage.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm going to book 4 spots, and I'm going to also. This might require a bit of action from the other guys because I'm going to speak to them, obviously, about
Go
trying
for
to get
it.
them with Rhodry and I.
Go for it then. So Atticus comes into the tavern one evening, notices you all and walks over.
Sit down. Does anybody need a drink?
No, I've got the taste of that fire water. Can't even say it.
No, I'll just.
I hold my hand up towards Hannah. So Rhodry and I have got to go on a journey. We're heading back to Keymouth. I've got to go and see my family, and I think he's got to go and see his. But both circumstances, it sounds like they're not happy situations. Something maybe we may need a bit of backup with. What do you reckon to joining us?
Well,
I'll pay for your passage.
no need, my friend. I believe our little gang has become quite lucrative in our adventures so far, and I see no reason not to accompany you, purely based on that.
Thank you, Tiberius.
I'm more than happy to come as well.
I lean over and shake your hands. You're both more than welcome and have made my day.
Captain Rain told you it would be 10 silver pieces for each passenger.
Okay. So I've got 30 to pay, Dave. Are you paying your own? Or
Yeah.
so I'll pay for the cartoon.
Okay.
30 silver pieces?
Yeah, 30 silver or 3
Okay.
gold.
No, that's
yeah,
cool. Oh, wrong.
whichever you prefer. Okay, any more loose ends you would like to tie up before leaving Saltmarsh?
That's
I
it.
just want to return to the Temple of Procan. And,
Yes.
What's his? I've forgotten his name. The guy.
Welgar.
Who's-
Welgar
Welgar.
blind-handed.
Yeah. See if he's in the temple. Find him.
Yeah, he is. He's talking to an elderly couple in the corner. He kind of waves at you as you come in.
Just nod at him and wait. I'll stand off, wait till he's finished. And,
Okay, he finishes and comes over. And there's a slight jangle of shells as he walks over towards you.
I've forgotten his name already.
Welgar brine-handed.
Well got. Right, typed in.
Yes, my son. How can I
I
help?
forgot. I'm terribly sorry. I forgot something. During the events aboard the ship, it was on part of Father Hayward's possessions, and while we were trying to determine who had done find catch the murderer. Anyway, I'll pull the list out of my pocket. It
Okay.
was this list of and I'm afraid my curiosity got the better of me, and I hope you don't mind, but I was
He
trying
looks.
to find out. Yeah, trying to make some more sense of this. So I asked around what it meant, and yeah, these are the names of the ships that have gone down, and it looks like Father Haywood had identified the deceased crew members, so maybe he was going to visit their families or something.
He nods and looks down the list and kind of smiles to himself. Oh, Father Hayward was a good man. Better than you know. He wasn't going to visit the families. These ticks are the bodies he single-handedly managed to recover and give their final blessings.
What?
Whenever a ship was reported missing, he would do his utmost to try and recover as many of the bodies of the deceased as he could, so that they may be interred properly.
May Pedal's light shine on him wherever he is now. Oh, that's good to know. Anyway, sorry for keeping that from you. I say, well, yeah. Anyway, well, we're off now, so we're leaving Saltmarsh for a while. So I'll see you for a bit.
Well,
Goodbye.
safe travels to you.
Thank you. Head up to the ship.
Okay. So over the next 10, it's been 10 days since the events on the Primewater Pleasure. During the week, rumours of the meteor that you saw fly overhead on your way back aboard the goad boat Soul of Winter were the discussion in town, and from farther afield for several days, but those discussions have since died down. There's word from Seaton that the Seymour Family Shipwright Company has re-employed many of its workers, and a tense standoff between the dock workers and the town guard has been avoided. Ships carry word from Tinamore Reef there have been several more grisly murders in the styes, and the authorities there, or at least the closest thing they have to authority, are clueless as to who's responsible. And the Saltmarsh Town Council continues to plan the defence of the town and the defence of the nearby lizard folk settlement with their new allies. Over the last few days, several lizard folk have actually been seen in town, not only going into the council house for meetings, but actually exploring the market as well. But for now, there have been no Sahuagin attacks on shipping, though some gossip has it that this means a larger attack is soon to come. And far from the south comes word that the Sea Princes have increased their attacks on Imperial shipping around the Amber Coast, but that's so far away that the townsfolk of Saltmarsh pay it little heed. And on the last day before you are due to leave the town of Saltmarsh, you all suffer once again from restless nights and vivid dreams. Do you want me to take you individually to tell you what you dream, or would you like to... I can do it in front of everyone if you wish.
Is it?
You can listen to mine. I'll be telling them about it anyway.
Yeah,
Is it please come and visit me? I'm lonely.
So, I'm just going through it in alphabetical order. Atticus, you dream you're in a dark tunnel. At the end of it is a deep red light that glows and pulses with the rhythm of your heart. You step up to the far wall of the tunnel and see that it's made of flesh that pulses beneath your hand. You press your hand into it and it sucks you inside. This strange image is followed by a rapid flash of visions before your eyes, too many to consider individually. You see a huge white-haired ape. You see dark tentacles reaching out to caress your skull. You see a faceless man in the uniform of the Imperial Navy. You see a pair of intense, piercing blue eyes. And the dream ends with you in a maze of complete darkness in which you know something terrible is hunting you. Cat, your dream starts the same in the same tunnel with the beating of the heart. And you too see many rapid flashes of visions before your eyes. But yours are different. You see a deep lake reflecting the two moons above. A large black pearl rises from the water and slowly changes to a pure, brilliant white colour.
You see a huge tree standing in the middle of a city that's seemingly built from pearlescent stone. And you see a large steaming cauldron with 3 shadowy figures dancing around it. The final vision is of yourself on the deck of a ship sailing into a huge city of canals and bridges. Rhodry, your dream, it won't surprise you to hear, begins in the same way in a dark tunnel with a deep red pulsing light. And as you stick your hand into the strange fleshy skin of the tunnel, you are sucked inside and again see many rapid images flash before your eyes. You see a city street littered with corpses that are bloated with infection. A land covered in a forest of blue and violet trees that stands under a sky of everlasting dawn. You see the figure of a woman in silhouette playing a large lute. And finally, a hulking form with pale blue skin, long white hair and huge fangs. Tiberius, your dream starts the same as everybody else's. The pulsing red light, the tunnel with the walls made of strange pulsating flesh. And you see rapid flashes of images before your eyes as well. You see a tall keep in the mountains covered in snow. You see smoke rising from a crashed vessel of alien design. You see a dwarven weapon of great power, fashioned to resemble gem-encrusted claws. And finally, you see a screaming baby with dark violet skin, the child of a drow. Ooh. Okay. So, you all awaken, a little shaky. Make your final preparations to board the No More Mr. Nice Guy. Is there any last minute things you would like to do in Saltmarsh?
Yeah, I meant to say we go and tell the council we're leaving town for a few weeks, but we'll be back.
Okay,
before we leave, is there anything anybody wants some gallons of bolts?
Yeah, I was going to say, who wants the leather? Does anyone really, really want the leather?
No, +1 leather only puts me at what I've got at the minute.
It will give me an extra AC.
Yeah.
Did you want it, Dave? Did you want it?
No, all it would give me an extra AC, and I wouldn't use a glamour, and it's better on the tank because it just makes the tank tankier.
Yeah, because if I take my next dex bonus, stat increase, that'll put me on 22 AC in wolf form, so I'll be able to fucking tank.
So do you want the leather pudding in your inventory?
Please, I'll attune it on the ship journey.
Okay. Let me unequip your normal studded leather.
Cheers, guys.
And equip. There you go. Okay. You go and tell the council, Atticus, that you're leaving, and you notice there are a few lizard folk about, just wandering around. They're not hiding anymore, and they seem to be accepted by the townsfolk.
Nice.
The council.
Together, man.
The council takes the news stoically, thanks you for your service, and tell you they will get message to you if once their alliance yields any results in terms of the Sahuagin attacks.
Nice.
Gellin is sorry to see you leave, tells you as much, says you'll always be welcome. Anders just comes up, he doesn't say anything, but he comes and gives you each a hug, wordlessly.
Yeah. We'll make sure we tell Hannah as well. Say goodbye to Hannah.
So you say your goodbyes. Your time in Saltmarsh has been an eventful one. Over the last few weeks you've proven yourselves to work well together, and you've bonded over your shared adventures. What's more, you've become trusted and revered members of the local community, heroes to some even. So it's with a slightly heavy heart that you walk up the gangplank onto the deck of the No More Mr. Nice Guy, a caravel delivering fish down to the cities of the Empire. As the ship sails unfurl and snap in the wind, and the now familiar feeling of movement begins, you notice the 5 Hellions all standing on the dock waving you off. Ham appears to be crying.
I salute them.
Telme salutes you back and elbows Ham, and he looks up and salutes you as well. Yet you know in your heart you're not done with Saltmarsh yet, and some tales remain to be told that will bring you back here. The 6-day journey to Keymouth, for once, is an uneventful one, and one that you will only remember due to the terrible smell of salted fish stored in the hold. A light rainstorm keeps you below deck for much of the 3rd day, but the sun brightens and the air grows warmer as the night sky catches the trail of Trent's Channel, the ocean current that carries warm waters from the far east of the Azure Sea. And then, on the morning of the 6th day, you see it hove into view above the horizon. To some of you, it has been a home, to others, an unexplored metropolis full of potential. It's the largest city on the coast of the Azure Sea and capital of the Cerulean Empire, the city of 1,000 bridges, Keymouth. A brightly coloured flock of parrots bursts out from some palm trees on the shore as you approach, flying through the subtropical air below the level of the Great Walls and the city's 3 huge lighthouses. As the ship rounds the promontory of the western walls, you see a huge bridge, Terracnian's Arch, reaching across the entrance into the harbour. Yet it is broken, fallen into a ruin, a monument to grandiose folly and perhaps a metaphor for the Empire's past glories. Then you pass under the broken arches and the city spreads out before you. Man-made canals intersect huge islands thronged with large buildings of white plaster and crowds of brightly dressed citizens. Coloured flags and bunting seem to hang from many of the dwellings. The noise and immensity of it all are an assault on the senses. Slowly, the no more Mr. Nice Guy navigates through the waters, suddenly busy with craft of all shapes and sizes, and bumps into the northern docks of the merchant district. You've arrived in Keymouth. I'll share a map with you now.
God, I fucking hate this place.
Why is that?
You can zoom in really far on this map, by the way.
It's loading.
It's a load.
Okay. Yeah, it's a big map.
That's a long. Oh, there's a green pin.
Okay, let me know when the maps come through.
Alrighty, will do.
It's still waiting. And the next 30 minutes of the session.
Hit the pause button on the tape.
Once we've got it, we've got it. Nice pictures, then. Looks like a lovely place.
The air is much warmer here than in Saltmarsh. You're now in subtropical conditions, similar to the sort of the south coast of France or Spain on the Med, that sort of environment.
I'll have to see about getting Journey to fucking forget.
So Penzaro,
Sorry.
I don't know if you've mentioned the name of the village out loud, by the way.
Yes, to me.
Okay, so I'll tell you both then. Rhodry, Penzaro is obviously the village that you were ostracised from after the events in your youth. You also know Penzaro. It's about half a day's travel south of Keymouth in the Keylands, which is an area that provides the Empire with much of its grain, fields of rolling wheat. It's a small farming community. The reason you know Penzaro, Atticus, is because that's where your mother was shipped off to.
So where is Pentaro in relation to Keymouth?
It's about half a day's travel to the south, in a large farming area called the Keylands, which are full of fields of wheat and barley and grain. The fields, the Keylands are fed by huge canals that stretch for miles and miles and irrigate the land. It provides a lot of the food for the Empire. It's a,
Breadbasket.
it's a small farming community. You still waiting for the...
Yeah, should we talk amongst ourselves?
I'm sorry, guys.
It's
I
alright.
might have overdone it with this map.
He spent like months on it. Years.
I'll make a coffee while we wait. for
Yeah,
it.
let's take a 2 or 3 minute break. Go make your
Yeah,
cup of
good
teas.
idea.
Good idea.
Time to get out of Saltmarsh for a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Yes, please.
really the start of chapter 2 of the campaign.
Good, because we hit 5th level.
Mm-hmm.
Cyclic gold.
What time of day do we arrive in?
Good question. I need to adjust the calendar. So first of all, I need to add 10 days to the date. Actually 14 days because of the travel. And it's about late morning. Oh no, hold on. There we go.
So give us.
I just realised my notes from my dream don't really make any sense. I was just writing down keywords. I put tunnel, beating heart.
I can
vision.
share them with you if you wish.
That would be amazing. I
Yeah.
was going to write as you were
Add some
talking.
to our notes. or
Just
whatever.
give me a minute and I
Thank you,
will
there's no rush.
share them.
Yeah, add them to our journal for next time. That would be lovely. Kind of you.
Okay, I'm gonna send them to the chat box for you.
Thank
Okay.
That's Atticus, Hecate, Rhodry, and Tiberius.
I literally put stone city with giant tree, canal bridges.
So you recognise this as you sail under the archway into the harbour of the city. You recognise this city as the city in your vision?
City of
Yeah.
Beans.
I figured as much.
What the other things are, you have no idea.
Conform.
There we go. I've saved it in my journal. Pardon me.
No sign of the map yet, guys.
No.
Oh. There is a way of preloading maps. I'm going to have to sort that out in the future.
Where's my journal? There it is. Didn't make you do that. It's so helpful.
You're good at it.
I'll tell you a bit about Keymouth. It is the capital, so you'll all know this while we wait.
Right off the ship.
It's a hub of trade and home to more than 15,000 souls. A bastion of civilization known as the City of 1,000 Bridges, though it's a city faded and beyond its finest days. Which this can be seen in the broken bridge of Terraclian's Arch that spans the busy harbour, and in the faded glory of the city's 3 huge lighthouses. It's comprised of several natural islands which have had broad canals cut into them, and they're the true highways of the city. They're busy with seacraft of various sizes at all hours of the day. The weather's surprisingly temperate. Palms grow lushly on the banks of the canals, and brightly coloured flocks of parrots fly overhead. And the waters of Trent's Channel carry warmth from the hotter climes to the east, and the ends just outside the city's port. And in every way it's a city of industry. There are 7 districts featuring large arrays of shops ranging from simple groceries to specialised buildings like potion shops, dagger sellers, exotic pet shops and strange bazaars. The streets are clean, broad avenues littered only with the crowds of brightly clothed common folk that scurry in every direction. You've sailed into the central district, which is the merchant district. It's the heart of the city, perhaps even its soul, lodged firmly in the centre of the city. It's the first district most visitors reach, and often the only one they ever need explore. The shops here sell just about any types of goods imaginable. Just to tell you briefly about the other district, there is the Azure district, known as Keymouth's true waterfront. Also houses the city's slums and lower class citizens. Champions district towers over the western skyline atop a large walled plateau, a district of soldiers, gladiators, mercenaries and warriors. There's the Cudgel district, which is primarily a residential district. The Noble district, which has traditionally been thought of as the ruling district, even though Castle Terracnian isn't technically part of that district. The other districts, however, increasingly view the Noble district as a place of decadence and vanity. And finally, there is Shadowshore, a relatively small district, but perhaps the most notorious. A strip of land nestled in the shadow of the Champion district. It's a haven for thieves, thugs and criminals of all kinds.
Which district does my aunt live in? Is it, I take it, the Noble?
The Noble district, yes. And you know that your headquarters, where you've been summoned to, is at the Cartographers Guild in the Noble district.
Okay.
Still waiting for the map, guys?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Your work.
It's worth it, honest.
I have no doubt.
It's just like this crayon drawing.
Some child's drawing of some houses.
Yeah, curly smoke coming out of a chimney.
This is Mummy and this is
Stick
Daddy.
people.
This is our house.
Stick man with a knife. That's for thieves.
I do apologise. I'll cut some of this out of the video, I think.
Highlights. That makes the highlights real.
I
Makes the bloopers real.
I got paid.
Refresh.
Yeah, don't send it again.
Yeah.
We can carry on without the map for a little while anyway, if everyone's ready. So the noble Mr. Nice Guy pulls up at a long dock alongside another couple of large merchant ships. Captain Rain waves you off, and you head down into this huge metropolis, not quite sure where to go or what to do. There are hawkers all over the place selling foods that you've never seen or even heard of before. The whole place is an assault on the senses.
I suppose I should inquire about the road south to Penzaro, see if it's safe to travel, and if it is, start making preparations.
Okay.
Because I grew up here, Neil, before I joined the Navy, I've got some idea of where the districts are.
You have, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I kind of grew up on the streets a bit, I guess.
When the map actually comes up, I'll be able to bloody tell you. But
So I'll know where to head for. I guess I'll know the movement, so I'll know how you summon water taxis and shit
yeah,
like that.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Just I'll know how it works.
You do.
Cool.
Have you told us that you know Keymouth really well? Oh, you just said you don't like the place.
I don't like. You asked me why, and I said bad memories.
Atticus, do you know of any... You said you'd been here before.
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up here.
Oh. I don't suppose you know the inns or taverns around the south of the city, probably the road down to Penzaro. Perhaps I should ask there about
Well,
the road.
when I see the map, I'll be able to tell you.
Twist that knife.
I'll help you out in a minute, Rhodry. I'm busy.
So busy.
I believe
I wave a street hawker over and buy some meat in bread from the mausoleum.
Okay. Yeah. A hawk comes over. He's selling octopus tentacles on skewers.
I'll.
They're hot, straight from the oven, sir.
I nod at him and just give him a copper piece.
Okay, he hands you a skewer with this sort of reddish coloured tentacle on.
I just nod at him, thanks, and eat it whilst I'm looking around and taking in the sights of the city and having some memories. Just standing there for a minute
Okay.
whilst I eat my octopus.
As I said, the merchant district's in the middle of the city. To the west, you have the Cudgel district, which is the main residential district, and to the south, you have the Sunrise, which is another residential district. To the east of you is the Azure district, and to the northeast is the Noble district.
What kind of rations have we got?
So, what good taverns would there be for us?
You
Say
know,
there, but I'll impose with all of us, so we need.
yeah, you're looking for one close by to where you are now, or
So a good tavern that's kind of equidistant between the facilities of the merchant quarter to not having to walk too far to the noble quarter.
okay, on the east side of the merchant district, you know, there's a large tavern called 15 Horses and a Mule.
weird names.
It's been many years since I guess I visited Keymouth quite a bit as I was in the Navy as well. So I know. I guess what sort of reputation does it have?
It's of average quality. You know that the accommodations are clean. It's used by travellers and merchants.
Okay, I'll wait till everybody's off the ship.
Okay.
Let's get somewhere to stash our stuff first. I know of a tavern. An inn, should I say?
I'll get off the ship and stretch my legs and look
Oh,
around.
I won't be staying long.
Okay, you head down a road past a small marketplace, across a long wooden bridge. The water taxis passing underneath. Some of them waving up at you as they go under the bridge. Past large streets of building. You lead them down Pale Street and Potion Street, across another few bridges, into the southeastern area of the merchant district, and on Red Skink Lane you come across 15 Horses and a Mule. It's a 2-storey half-timbered building with a white tile roof. There's a few people sitting on quite well-made chairs outside the front of the tavern having a drink.
This is it. Let's take a look. Head inside, shoulder my pack.
Okay. You head inside. It's about midday, so it's quite busy. There's people running around serving food. Most of the people in here seem to be sort of the merchant stock.
I grab a serving maid as they're running past.
Yes, sir?
Who do I speak to about a room?
Oh, talk to Admon at the bar.
I nod at her. Let her go.
Okay.
Head over to the bar.
Oh, Atticus, I was thinking about setting off maybe quite straight away. It sounds like things are urgent.
12, it's lunchtime.
Hmm.
And how far south is the Penzaro?
It's about half a day's travel.
I'd rather arrive there after dark, or I don't want to make an entrance.
Well, why don't we just put our stuff in the rooms, and then we can head out.
I haven't got much on me.
Let's get some rooms first, Rhodry, and then we'll head out.
Okay.
Has the map
yeah.
still not appeared, guys?
No, I can see you moving the little green thing though.
If we want to guarantee that we get there after dark, we should leave it a couple of hours before we head out.
Oh, dark dusk.
Yeah, we should leave it a couple of hours.
Let me just inquire what the road's like. I head up to the barman and
Okay, the
Try and get
bar's
some-
quite low in here. It only comes up to your just below your waist, and you can see why as soon as you wander up to the barman. Short even for a dwarf, with red braided hair tied back with a gold band. He's wearing a leather apron. Good day to you, sir.
I was after some information about the roads. The road to Penzaro, specifically. What it's like. Is it safe?
Oh, I would think so, sir. It's not that far from the city, and the roads around here are patrolled by the army.
Oh,
We're
right.
in the heart of the Empire here, sir.
Good. I've forgotten what it was like. Been away a while. Thank you very much, sir.
What can I get you?
I'm a bit thirsty actually. Just an ale. Thank you.
He nods. That'll be 2 copper, please.
And 2 twin rooms, please.
Oh yes, sorry. Hand in the cup.
Hello.
Modest room will be 5 copper.
There'll be 5 copper for the night for each room.
Lovely, thank you. I'll have me and Kat will have a twin as well, please.
Yes, for 2 twins. That's for all 4 of us.
For everybody.
Oh, okay.
He looks
Who's it-
he looks
who's
over
it?
at you, Rhodry.
You sure you don't want a room on your own?
No, we've travelled a long time together.
Right, you are. Hilda!
Nothing like that.
Hilda!
He summons
Watch
over.
each other's back through a wall.
Another dwarf turns round. She also has a red beard. Her beard is braided with a band of gold, but she's bald completely. But it's definitely a woman. And she comes over and snarls at Admin.
Yes, all right, admin. I'll take them to their rooms.
And she beckons you over her shoulder as she heads upstairs.
What was her name? Sorry.
Hilda.
Hilda.
I'll go straight to my room, Neil.
Yeah.
Dump my bags. And who am I sharing a room with? Rhodry, I take it.
You tell me.
Rhodry,
Yeah.
I've got to go out and see some family. I'll be back in about an hour and a half, and then we'll go.
Okay. Right.
And just that's all I'll say, and then I'll leave.
Okay.
Neil, can you take off the... Oh, it is... Yeah, it's alright, don't worry. Ignore
Okay.
me. Ignore me.
So do me where you want to do it, mate. But I want to go and see my aunt, and then I'm going to head to the Cartographers Guild.
Okay. Just bear with me 1 minute. So, you head up into the Noble District.
I pull my collar up really high around my face and hold my head down.
Okay. So you have to hire a water taxi to cross the river. That'll be quicker than taking the roads.
Yeah.
You head up. The taxi takes you past Ancestor Island, an island in the centre of the city, which is been used as a graveyard by the inhabitants, a huge island covered in gravestones and tombs.
Cool.
You know that the city's founder, Francus Jehen, was reputedly slain there by the black dragon Zelkaroon years and years ago. But you head up to the Noble District, and immediately when you get to the docks there, the atmosphere is different. People are wearing much more expensive clothing. The hubbub is slightly quieter. The buildings are bigger, cleaner, dressed with gilt paint and ornate marble gargoyles around the roofs. There's a lot more trees around.
Put my head down and act generally deferential, so I move out of the way of people walking down the street or down wherever and kind of, half bow as people are moving out of the way, because I'm dressed like a scumbag from the docks.
Okay, and you make your way round to the Oberhelm mansion on the east side of the district. It's a tall, pillared building with a door that opens out onto the street just up a few marble steps.
So,
I head up and pull the bell pull.
Okay, after a moment the door opens and there's a half-elf standing there in a dark blue uniform. He's got his hair pulled back tightly in a ponytail, so tightly that it almost seems to pull the skin of his face back, giving him quite a skull-like visage. He looks down at you. Yes?
Do I recognise him at all?
You don't recognise him, no.
Where's my book? Hang on, my glasses. Can I speak to Lady Oberhelm?
And who should I tell her is calling on her at this hour?
Tell her it's Atticus.
Please wait here, sir. Shuts the door.
A few moments later, the door is flung open and you see Lady Helena Oberhelm, always immaculately presented, wearing the latest in court fashions, arrayed with expensive jewellery. At first glance she appears quite youthful, though on closer inspection it becomes apparent that her makeup and bodice are doing a lot of heavy lifting. She looks out at you. Atticus! What a wonderful surprise! Come in, come in! She comes forward and embraces you.
Oh, you're a picture for sore eyes, Auntie. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you. What are you doing back in the city?
I'm here on Empire business.
Oh, I understand. Do you have time for a drink?
A very quick one. I've got to head off to the guild soon.
Bennett, bring us some of that red wine.
I couldn't pass through town without saying hello.
Of course, of course. No, the Antarian, none of that cheap muck. A few moments later, the butler brings out a silver tray with 2 wine glasses on.
Okay, I get serious and I sit opposite her, and I hold her hands in mine and I look her in the eyes and I say, "How is she?"
Last I heard, she was doing quite well. I do hear back from Heine quite regularly. He's the young man that looks after her. As far as I'm aware, she's fine. Her mind isn't what it was. Are you planning to see her?
I think I might go down and pay her a visit, yes.
Well, just be warned, she is getting on a bit, Atticus, and as I said, she has moments where she can't quite remember things clearly.
I'll hold her on the side of the face and give her a kiss on the cheek and say, well, she'll always be beautiful in my eyes.
She smiles at you, a radiant beam of a smile. So, do you have time to tell me about your adventures?
Yeah, I have my drink with her and tell her what I've been doing. I don't give her details, but I kind of hint at she should be proud of her nephew because I'm working for the Empire, but I kind of hint at secrecy.
Okay. Out of interest, has the map come through yet?
No.
Oh my goodness. I do apologise, guys.
Yeah. And then and then I finish my drink and just tell her the stories of what I've been up to.
Yeah.
And then I'll leave, and I hope it's not too long before I are able to visit again.
Oh, I do hope so as well. Please stay. You're staying for a while.
I'm staying. Yes, we're staying in Keymouth, and we're staying. I can't. What's the name of the thing? Something in the 11 mules.
15 horses and a mule.
15 horses and a mule.
Oh, I don't know if I know that place, but yes, please come and see me again before you do whatever it is you do.
I'll kiss her hand and bow, and then leave.
Okay.
Stiff as mine.
She's got it going on.
You're special, auntie.
Okay. So what do you do when you leave the Oberhelm mansion?
I'm going to head up to the Cartographers Guild. Oh, hang on. Where's my notes?
Okay. You head to the Cartographers Guild. Surrounded by ornate, well-tended gardens, the Historical Cartographers Guild of Keymouth is a monument to explorers of ages past. It's one of the... You know, the Cartographers Guild is one of the oldest professional guilds in the world, having been formed almost 500 years ago. The role of the guild has changed somewhat since its inception. It now serves several functions, including the mapping of unexplored regions, the study and anthropology of other cultures, and as scouts for the Imperial Navy.
Okay.
There's a large pair of double wood-panelled doors, which are open, and steps leading up. There's a few people coming in and out.
Big knockers.
Okay, I go through the process that we normally would go through and turn up request to see the eye.
Okay, the double wood panel doors open into a vast lounge with a compass rose image laid out in marble on the floor. Chairs and tables border the central floor, and at the far end is a large mahogany reception desk that sits before a huge hand-painted map of the Cerulean territories. I'm going to share another map with you, I do apologise. This one should be a bit quicker. Let me know when or if that one comes through.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, you go up to the mahogany reception desk. There's a young lady sitting behind it. She looks up at you and smiles as you approach. You mention that you want to see the eye. She tells you to take a seat. Whilst you're sitting and waiting, a well-dressed dragonborn with silvery scales brings you a tray with drinks and tiny triangular sandwiches of fish paste.
Are we there?
Smile.
No, you're not there. He's gone on his own, I'm afraid. I do apologise, guys. After a while, the young lady steps out from behind a desk, comes over to you, and asks you to head to room 007.
I had to read the 007.
Okay. You head to the room, you knock on the door and enter. Inside is a wood-panelled room surrounded with tall bookcases. There's a large curtained window opening out into the surrounding gardens, and behind a large desk there's a dwarf with long flowing white hair and a beard, dressed in a well-cut suit. He's pouring out some glasses of whiskey. He turns round and introduces himself.
Ah, Agent Baron, take a seat. I'm afraid the eye is busy today, so I'll be overseeing your mission. The name's Connery. Bjorn Connery.
That's brilliant. Have you seen that picture? That's amazing. Okay.
Dear.
I nod at him and sit down.
Thank
Got
you
much
for
to-
coming back at such short notice, Commander. We called you back to base for 3 important reasons. The other 2 will be revealed soon, but the first cannot wait. It's your most important mission yet. Operation Thunderhall.
You got the down on this.
Yeah, sorry about this, guys, but I was having too much fun. He hands you over a parchment flyer with neat script on it.
Yeah.
There's an auction coming up at the Thunderhall Auction House.
Yeah.
One of the items for sale at the auction is a rare and unusual black pearl, apparently fished out of the sea in the far-off waters of Milbar Gulf. The seekers have intercepted messages suggesting that this black pearl would be useful to our enemies. Something to do with a forbidden rite of Solibosha. It's imperative that they do not use it for such a thing, though we would like to know more about the ritual they're planning. We would like you to put a team together, Commander, attend the auction, and identify the person who buys the pearl. Then trail them back to their home, that's all.
Sorry, I'm writing.
You are not, repeat not, to engage the suspect. You are just required to find out where he is staying.
You clearly understood.
When you've put your team together, return here, and we'll go and meet the pier in Sea Branch, so that you can be properly outfitted.
I nod at him and salute.
He nods, holds his drink up and downs it.
Did he give me one? Or
He
was
did, yeah, he passed you on.
I down mine as well.
Okay.
Saluting him with my drink. Okay, I get up and walk out.
Okay. Not sure what's happened to the music. Oh, the music's crashed.
Right, sorry, I've got to go and let the cat out. She's tearing up the carpet.
Okay. So you heading back to the tavern, Mark, or?
I am after that, yeah.
Okay. So you guys have a couple of hours to kill in the tavern. Are you doing anything whilst you're there?
Sitting there, looking like I'm fretting over something, chewing my nails, foot's tapping away. Glance at the door, keeping my eyes out, see if there's any evidence of followers or guards or whatever have followed us around.
Okay. Let me just see if I can get
I'm
this
just
going.
going to familiarise myself with the place. I've passed through Keymouth before, but
Yeah.
we literally just passed through, so just trying to remember where everything is. And
Okay.
familiarise
It would
myself
help if you had a map, wouldn't it?
It would a little bit, but that's okay.
We can imagine walking through the harbour streets,
Okay.
up and down the docks, across, taking the
Yeah,
river
good
crossing,
pictures.
to be sure.
Okay. Whilst you're in the tavern, I would like each of you to roll 1d4, please.
Not me, I take it.
Not you, no.
Oh look,
Boom.
Okay, Kat. Whilst you're sitting there, someone, a young man, dressed in clothing that is slightly ragged, comes up to you. Excuse me, miss.
Yes.
I don't suppose you can help me, can you? Do you know how to get to the Dawn House? I'm told that the blessings of Pelor can cure my friend, and I need to get him passage there as soon as I can.
I'm afraid I've just arrived in town. I don't really know where anything is at the moment.
Oh, sorry to bother you. He goes off and talks
If
to
you
somebody else.
Ask admin at the bar.
Oh, okay, thank you. Rhodry, you overhear two ladies talking on the table next to you. Have you heard about that inn, the Catapulter? I went there with my man before I was married to him. I made sure he heard about the entrance door that gives prophecies when you walk through it.
Well, I paid a gnome to put a small enchantment on a different door, and to tell my hubby that marrying me would bring him fame and fortune, and it worked. Next day he proposed. You best not to tell him what had happened, though, or he'll leave me.
Sneaky.
Tiberius, you overhear a couple of young people, young men, talking, leaning up against the bar, sharing a drink.
Here, you remember that necklace that Ellie claimed was lucky? Well, she told me she went into the Skinned Man to try and gamble the latest paycheck up a bit. You know how she rubs her necklace when she wants to be lucky? Well, she thought it was going to work. Well, anyway, she went in there, went up to one of the gambling tables, started rubbing her necklace, and all these alarms started going off. This huge Goliath came storming over, holds her while the owner casts his spell, and the necklace turned to dust. Turns out it was magical after all. Anyway, we call her Unlucky Ellie now.
Just raise an eyebrow.
Okay, after a couple of hours, Atticus returns.
Stand up quickly.
I think it's about time we perhaps made a move.
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, yes. I mean,
You okay?
Yeah, you seem
I
very
look-
unsettled.
I just want to get this over with.
What is it? What is it, boy? What are we walking into?
Nothing. It's just family. It's just personal stuff. No, it shouldn't be dangerous. It's not dangerous.
Hey, Rhodry, stop worrying. We got you back. Stop worrying. Okay? Let's have a drink.
No,
Traveling
I'd
together
rather
long
go.
We'll sort it.
Grab my,
We'll fucking
grab my
sort it.
walking stick. Yeah, just lose sight where the door is, and walk out.
Okay. All right, you head out. I presume everyone follows Rhodry.
Yeah.
You start making your way south of the city. You head down through Sunset, one of the residential districts of the city, and head out the city gates into the low rolling hills around the city itself, which are known as the Keylands. After half an hour's walking along the well-maintained road, the city disappears from view behind some hills, and before you is a scene of pastoral beauty. Let me just turn that music off. Huge fields of wheat, corn, maize and barley blowing in the gentle sea winds. Huge vineyards growing deep red grapes, which you know, Rhodry, is used for the manufacture of key vine, which is one of the wines of the area.
I have some of that.
Long narrow canals have been dug out from the city, reaching many miles into the Keylands, offering both easy transport for goods and irrigation for the farmlands, and they're crisscrossed with small wooden bridges. And around the edges of the fields are many small hamlets and farmsteads. And grazing cattle look up and moo at you as you pass.
A magical place.
I just got my head down, striding.
Okay.
What's the difference?
You head down the main south road, and after an hour and a half, you turn off onto a smaller path, less well maintained and rutted with wagon tracks, which leads down towards the village of Penzaro. It's a sleepy little farming community, close-knit and familial, that tends the fields around the area. Rhodry, you know it's a village of around about 500 souls. I would like everyone to make a perception check, please.
Dodger.
What was that?
Okay. Okay, just Bear with me 1 second, I do apologise for this. Okay, as you're walking down the road between some fruit trees, Cat, you spy movement in one of the trees, and an arrow suddenly flies out towards you, skittering on the road nearby.
Oh. I pull my dagger out and hold it up in a defensive position and say, "Who goes there?"
After a moment, a tiny little figure moves out from under one of the trees and stands in the middle of the road. He's hunched over. It's about 4 feet tall, with orange skin, a long hooked nose, pointy ears. "Leave your money and run!"
I just laugh in his face.
Uh-oh. I've just carried on walking. I haven't noticed it.
Okay, let me know if you get this map.
Goblin 5.
Yeah.
How many of them are there?
Goblin 50?
I'm warning you! He knocks an arrow
That's
to his
noticing.
bow.
Huh?
And what are you going to do, little man?
I'm gonna shoot you!
You can certainly try.
Okay!
Are we rolling initiative?
Not yet. You told him he could try shooting you, so he's gonna do that first.
Okay. Well then, I will dodge any attempt.
Critical.
Oh no.
Yeah, you can imagine. He shoots at you. The arrow flies across, hits you, and he starts hopping from foot to foot. Drop your riches and leave!
Neil, I'd like to chuck D6 off that. Use my curse, please. Stop it hitting.
Oh, I said I was going to try and dodge it.
Oh.
Oh,
sorry,
you can take a dodge action if you wish.
Oh, sorry.
Cat, what do you want to do?
Yeah, I was going to dodge, thank you. I just want to save you points, Rich.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, fine.
Okay, just give me a second while I double check the rules on dodge.
Dodge, dive, and dodge.
I think it only works in the next round of combat, though.
Oh, does it? Oh,
I think so, that's why I'm just checking.
Yeah, you take a dodge action, so if anything tries to hit you, I think you actually automatically avoid it. Or you have to make it. Yeah, I think you do. I think you automatically avoid it. One hit anyway.
That's where my smart mouth
Here we
gets
go.
me, isn't it? Arrow to the knee.
So the attacker is made at disadvantage against you. So let me roll again. Oh no, that's his scimitar, sorry. I'll re-roll the short bow. Yeah, still hits.
Okay. I accept that.
Okay, now you can roll initiative if you wish.
Critical.
I rolled really bad.
I was going to say, come on.
Okay, has everybody rolled?
No, I've got to do it. I'm doing it now.
Okay. Round 1. His movement is... Okay, Cat, you're up.
These roads were safe.
Hmm.
Oh, I can't see how far away he is.
Patrol band again.
If you target him, it should say... should
I
have
have
an
targeted. Oh, there we go, 80. You can hover over it. Bear with me. I think I can only get him with chill touch, so I'm going to try and do that.
Okay, what's the range on Chill Touch?
It's 120. Let me just check. 120
Okay.
feet.
Yeah, that hits. So as he's busy trying to knock another another arrow to the bow, this spectral hand appears above his head and he clamps down on his head. He starts hopping from one foot to the next, screaming as the fingers of the hand disappear inside his skull and start to squeeze.
Brain freeze.
Rhodry, the danger seems to have passed. What would you like to do?
Seems to have passed. Great.
I just stride forward. And
You can make a perception check if you wish.
no, I think it's a bit preoccupied.
Okay.
And just add those to myself.
Probably go for a stride for my poor little thing.
Okay, Tiberius. You can make a perception check if you wish.
Yeah, you'll sniff the air for greenskins.
I'm just going to make one roll for all of them.
What do you mean, all of them?
You don't sense... Cat, you do sense danger, but Tiberius, there's a bit of a cool breeze blowing through the dusk air, and you don't sense or see any more signs of further goblins.
Jesus.
Let's never travel alone.
What are you going to do, Tiberius?
I think I should have got advantage on that roll
Why?
because I'm hunting something.
No, you haven't transformed, have you?
Okay. No, I get advantage as a gnome on intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. Oh, let's save it.
Do you? What's that ability called? It's a Simsy special, is it?
Could be. I'm not gonna lie, mate.
You do have something for hunting Fae, don't you, and stuff?
Yeah. Undead as well.
You're kind of right. You do get advantage on intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws against magic.
Okay, right. Sorry.
So you weren't a million miles off, mate.
Against what now?
Against magic.
Okay, I'm just gonna use my bonus action to change.
Okay.
That's a good skill for when you got fucking sorcerers casting that. That's nice.
Very nice.
Okay.
I'll move 25 to here.
Okay.
That's me.
Atticus.
I'm gonna... Am I 35 or 30?
Okay, what's it say on your character sheet?
30. I was just, yeah, I got the scorching check. Fucking big mark, yeah. Move forward, paying attention to what's going on. Can I make a perception check?
You can, yeah.
Thank you. Watching the woods, hand on my hilts.
Not quite enough, I'm afraid.
Okay, thank you. That's me done.
Okay. Okay. Another goblin appears, runs out from the trees. As he gets to the road, he seems to suddenly trip and fall over. You're not sure what he's tripped over, but he gets up, dusts himself off, and knocks an arrow which he's going to fire at Atticus, I'm afraid. An arrow fires out and catches you in the thigh, Atticus.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Draw my scimitar and my pistol.
Another one runs out. This one targets... Oops. Atticus again, sorry.
Oh.
It's the dice.
Yeah, right.
Lie.
You're half expecting this. You see him burst out of the trees. He's got like bits of leaves stuck into his clothing as though he's been trying to camouflage himself. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one is going to shoot at Tiberius. Misses. 2, 3, 4. One bursts out of the trees and rushes up to you, Tiberius, from the trees to your right, swinging a rusty-looking scimitar. Which misses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Another bursts out and he's going to shoot at Cat. Hits. And yet another appears. There seems to be goblins swarming all over the place now. This one's going to shoot at Rhodry. This is top of the round. 2,
Top of the morning to you.
4, 5, 6. And then behind them all, a huge goblin, almost twice the size of the others, just slowly wanders around the at the tree at the far end of the road. Kill 'em, boys! And he chucks a javelin at Tiberius.
I've lost my mojo!
It goes clattering off to the side harmlessly. Okay, Cat, you're up. You can now see all these foes arrayed against you.
I'm gonna cast Magic Missile.
Okay.
I'm gonna target Goblin 4, Goblin 7, and Goblin 3.
Mm-hmm.
What's that? That should be...
Missiles go arcing out and slam into 2 of the goblins. Oh, sorry, I didn't make Goblin 6 visible. But as the magic missile arcs down towards the 3rd and final goblin, heading straight for him, he looks up, a look of terror on his face as he sees this streaking bolt come towards him, and then he just disappears.
What the?
Which one disappeared? Oh, number 3.
Yep.
Ooh, okay.
Are you done, Cat?
Yeah. Thank you.
Rhodry.
I gotta use the Eldritch Blast. Do I target? I'm gonna use it because it's 2 bolts.
Mhm.
So do I target both of them at the same time and
Yeah.
roll once to hit? Yeah.
Yeah.
It just looks annoying. I haven't got time for this.
Okay.
Damage. Looking back 10 foot.
Rhodry plants his walking staff in the ground, and suddenly two bright bolts of what appear to be golden beams of light shoot out, striking towards two of the goblins. One of them manages to dodge to the side, but it strikes the other in the centre of the chest, and smoke rises up from where it hits.
He's knocked back 10.
Which one was that hit? It was
6.
Goblin 6.
In a straight line away from me.
Sorry, I was looking at cat. Not you. There we go.
Looking into the bushes. 1, 2. Oh, carry on walking.
Okay. Are you done?
Yeah.
Tiberius.
I'm going to take a dash action. Take a dash action to there.
Okay. Any bonuses?
Any bonus actions?
Yep.
No.
Okay. Atticus, you're up.
Okay. I'm gonna move. Oh shit! What happened?
Neil, your goblin gets an attack of opportunity on me.
He does indeed. That's Goblin 4. Oh, hold on. Sorry. Yeah, he misses. Swings wildly. Atticus moves up alongside Rhodry.
Quick message, mate. There we go.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. You describe it.
Okay, let me. Is he targeted?
Targeting the Goblin boss at the moment.
Okay, yeah. So Atticus raises his pistol kind of off and up to the right, and pulls the trigger. And hang on 1 second. What looks like a ball of flame comes out the end, and it arcs round, and let's see if it slams into him or not. No.
Okay, it explodes on the ground next to the goblin. This like ball of flame comes up around it, but it kind of ducks to the side.
And that's me. I've moved already.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Goblin 1 is going to run up and try and hit Tiberius. But misses. Goblin 2 is going to do the same. He throws his bow on the ground, runs up to you, Tiberius. Also swinging at you. As he swings at you, he suddenly looks up at something over your shoulder. A look of terror crosses his face, and his blow goes awry.
Get in.
Heck.
Goblin 4 is going to shoot a bow at
We're about to meet something really horrible.
Atticus.
Okay.
It's a good roll. You get shot in the back, Atticus, just after firing your shot.
Oh, sorry. Yep.
Hold on. Goblin 6 was shooting at Cat. He's going to take another shot at her. It'd be hilarious if there's a party wipe due to a bunch of goblins.
You can take 5 off that attack roll.
Okay, you're going to tick. Okay, so as he goes to aim, he's just about to unleash the arrow, and suddenly he starts blinking and rubbing his eyes. His shot goes astray, so that'd be a 13. That wouldn't hit, would it, Cat?
No, sorry.
So that's 7 back to Cat.
Thank you.
Something right.
This goblin, let's roll 50-50.
I've got Goblin 3 just
Yeah.
in.
He's going to try and shoot Rhodry again. Moves forwards a bit. You feel something strike you on the back, Rhodry. No, it doesn't hurt.
I bet it doesn't.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The boss starts to stride forwards. Pulls another javelin from his back. And he's going to chuck it at Tiberius. That misses.
Long range.
Cat.
I'm going to use Magic Missile again.
Okay.
But I'm going to cast it at 2nd level so I get an extra missile. How would you like me to roll it? Do you want me to target them all and then roll 1 dice, or roll them individually?
Who are you targeting? How many are you targeting?
It'll be 4.
Okay. Just, what do you mean? You're targeting just one?
I'm targeting 4 goblins, but do you want me to roll 1
Oh.
dice for all 4 of them? Or do you want me to
Okay.
roll the damage independently?
Are you upcasting it then? At a higher level? Or do you get 4 magic missiles anyway?
No, I get 3.
Yeah.
But I'm casting it at 2nd level, so I get 4.
Okay, so, no, roll them all individually, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I just wanted to
Yeah,
clarify.
because there's no to hit roll, is there, with magic missile?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I'll start with Goblin 4.
Yeah. Okay, nice.
7. Goblin 6.
That's why I ran forward.
And then Goblin
Okay, 3 smoking corpses hit the ground. As these balls of magical energy arc out from the end of your staff in different directions, slamming into the goblins. Wow.
2. That is for shooting me in the knee.
Okay, Rhodry. Oh, sorry, are you done, Cat?
I was just moving forward, if that's okay.
Yeah.
And then that's me, thank you.
Rhodry.
So much.
Yeah, Mara's kind of snapped me out. I look around and see these goblins just dying and burning and crisping, and look forward and see this big, ugly goblin. And, you're the problem.
As well.
Oh wow, yeah, good hit. Oh my god.
My way.
Okay, do you want to describe that?
He said, he just holds his slaps his staff down on the ground, holds her hand forward, and a big bolt of radiant, almost like sunlight, bursts forward, slaps this goblin chief right in the middle of the chest, and just sends it flying backwards.
Awesome.
Smoking.
Excellent. Okay, are you done, or have you got anything else up your sleeves?
I'll just. I'll just walk up to the other goblin.
Okay, Tiberius, you're up. You're in close range.
I'll target that goblin. Oh, I've got advantage on him.
Frankie.
Okay, nice.
Missed him on a 14. Okay, I will use my.
Don't you get an extra attack? No.
Yeah, I get another 3 on arm strike. Shit.
Like chaff in the wind.
Okay, you're surrounded by mangled, smoking corpses on the road.
I'm gonna go and loot them. See if they had any money on them. If they've been looting people, that's karma. That's what that is.
Okay.
Just look around and nod.
Okay, yeah, you don't find any coins on them. There's a few arrows. You managed to gather about 8 arrows. A couple of javelins if you want them.
Don't know if anyone uses arrows. I don't think they do they?
No.
No.
Not me.
Just leave them.
Okay. Are you going to continue your way along the road?
I am.
I want to
I
go
am.
investigate what that goblin tripped over.
You go and have a look. You can't see anything there. You can't possibly imagine. There's no rocks, no twigs.
What was that goblin so scared of when I walked up to him?
Something about, because he disappeared. Goblin 3 disappeared. Something fishy going on.
There's wizardry around. There's wizardry
Yeah.
around. Is your danger sense still tingling?
Maybe. Is it Dungeon Master?
No.
No, I feel fine.
Strange, let us continue on our journey.
Precariously.
Okay, you carry on down the road. And the sun's starting to go down behind the hills as you crest the brow of a low hill on the well-maintained road and see below you the small, sleepy farming community of Penzaro. Rhodry, you haven't seen this place for a while now. It looks idyllic, nestled in a small valley next to one of the life-giving canals that runs from Keymouth to the north. As you gaze down at the village, you can see a large manor house standing next to the town square, a small church, and many small dwellings of the farm folk. Still, what should normally be a welcoming sight is anything but. There's a strange itching feeling at the back of your necks. Something here is off.
Neil, I will.
That other map hasn't loaded.
Before
I'll
we
fix that
start
next
walking
time.
into the village, Neil, I will command my armor with the command words, "Yeah, baby."
Right.
My armor will form like a wolf-like look, so it blends in with the rest of me. But it will have a sealed helmet, so they can't see my face. Or
Okay,
in the shape of a wolf, sort of thing. So it just hides my face, so that they can't see I'm a wolf.
Okay, but your armour, you said, does it look like a wolf now, your armour?
No.
That's what I was
You
saying,
had
because
your
it's like
wolf
a
head
wolf
with a wolf's helmet.
No.
Cunning
Just,
disguise.
I'm just going to model a helmet to hide my face,
Okay.
my
All right.
wall features.
Okay. Have you got the map of Penzare?
No. No, it's still black for me.
Oh, poops. Gonna have to start preloading these maps.
Don't like hex. It doesn't like hex.
Okay. You see as you come down the hill, looking over the village, and there's a few people about. Can everybody make a perception check, please?
Perception check, yes. Yes, we can make a perception check.
Okay. Atticus isn't in Discord.
Oh.
Hold on.
Oh. Oh, here he is. Oh, is he?
He's muted.
Oh, he's muted. He's probably taking a call.
Bewitched.
I don't know if you can hear us, Atticus. Can you make a perception check? If so, please.
Yes, he's muted up there.
Busy boy.
Busy boy. Busy making money.
Dying.
Once again.
Yeah, I come like to a dead stop when I see it. Just plant my feet firmly in the ground, looking around.
Okay. Rhodry, you notice a few things. You notice that some of the farmers' fields have apparently abandoned equipment in them. Hoes and ploughs and so on. You also notice that since last time you here, it has been some time, but many of the houses appear abandoned or dilapidated. Some look more overgrown than others. And you also notice that only half of the street lamps are lit. Has the map not come through yet? It's not a big map.
Map spam.
Let me reshare it.
Oh no.
Okay. So you're on a long road leading down into the village down the side of a hill. You've got farmers' fields off to the left with some hills rising up, a few houses up ahead of you.
I want to approach my old house, mother's house.
Okay, that's on the far side of the village. You'll have to go through the town square to get there.
Can I skirt? I'd rather skirt the village and approach it directly without walking through.
You could head past the old Penzaro stables around the side, yeah.
Yeah,
around the low hills that border the village.
I'd rather the less people see me, the better. I didn't leave things very well here, and it's just a shame. So yeah, I'll try and skirt around past the stables.
Okay, you start heading down. You leave the road, head off through past some trees round the bottom of a low hill. You see the stables ahead of you, which appear to be nothing more than an open barn and some fields. The fields contain several wild-looking horses, and some of the fences have been broken. It almost looks abandoned.
This isn't right. This isn't right. Something's terribly wrong.
I'm going to scan for abnormal tracks, like beast, or you know,
okay, make a survival check.
Just going to look around, see if there's anything on other than what should be living here. Skills survival.
I mean, there are tracks about. There's a lot of animal tracks about in this area. You see a few tracks of townsfolk, but nothing that you wouldn't expect to see.
Okay.
I try and smell the air, sniff the air, see if there's any Smells.
Yeah?
It's perception, is it?
Yes, it is. You can smell the fields, you can smell the barley. It's a familiar smell. As you take a deep breath, memories of your childhood in this place come rushing back to you. But it's different now. Not the smell, just something in the air.
Yeah, my healer's instincts are going into overdrive and I'm trying to smell for them. The smell of...
A small black and white cat comes from around the side of one of the fences, starts to walk towards you. It walks up to about 10 feet. It's meowing at you, its tail's raised, it seems quite comfortable. Then it suddenly stops and looks at you. Arches its back. All its fur fluffs up as it hisses at you, its ears go back on its head, and it turns round and just disappears as fast as it can between the fence posts.
Ew, animals don't like me. Just continue making the circle round. Oh,
You continue
wait,
making
Mark.
your circle, you cross a small road, move round some trees and start heading down to cross a field. You're maybe 50 or 60 feet away from one of the roads out that border the town square, and there's a figure walking along the road. Alfie! Alfie, where are you? Alfie!
Do I recognise that person?
Make a history check.
Oh, God.
Yeah, you do. It's Ariana Angelman.
Have I had any dealings with her before?
Not really, no. You know that she's married to one of the old farmers, that they have a young son called Alfie.
Oh, right. Oh,
Alfie!
walk up to her then.
Okay, you approach the road. She sees you all approaching. She stops and looks at you.
I just hold my hands. Got to hold my hands up. They go, we mean you no harm.
Have you seen a young boy, sandy-haired, about this height? He's got lots of freckles. I can't find him anywhere.
I haven't, sorry.
Alfie!
Where did you last see him?
A few hours ago. He was playing out in the backyard.
Do you have something with the boy's scent on?
She looks at you strangely. No.
This is... Are you sure? Because I could use this to find your son.
It's a good tracker.
Perhaps an item of clothing.
Alfie! I don't, I'm sorry.
Right, I'll look for small boy tracks.
Okay, make a survival check.
Small boy tracks.
That's
That
not
sounded bad.
Didn't it?
You do find some, actually, not by the road, but in the farmer's field near where you're standing. You see some tracks heading off to the southeast.
Oh, cool, the guy's over. I think I found his tracks.
You found something! Alfie!
Shh, keep it down.
Suddenly, she stops, looks up at you. Sorry to bother you. And she turns around and starts walking off towards the town square.
Hey?
You look down, the tracks have gone.
Some weird shit's going on. Somebody's mentally twisting the air.
Ooh, we're in the Twilight
Whoa.
Zone. We're in the Twilight Zone, guys.
No.
Hell.
Twisting out reality.
Go on, let's follow these tracks, Siberians.
The gnome disappeared. The cat was scared by something. She disappeared. Maybe it's like ghosts or an illusion.
Anyone got to dispel magic?
No.
That's a good level 3 spell to have.
was available for me. I don't think. It might have been.
Yeah, there's too many.
Is the map of the village still not come through, guys?
No, none of
I'm
those.
so sorry about this. I'll try and get it sorted for next time.
Sorry, I blame Fantasy Grounds.
All these bloody hours I spend making maps.
That's strange. That's weird. That's not normal.
Yeah.
Something's going on here.
Yeah.
We best find your mother.
Yeah, I think we should go straight there.
Yeah, as quickly as possible.
Okay, you head back out onto the road, just near the town square. Head south. You go past a large building which appears to be a workshop of some kind, probably a blacksmith, judging by the horseshoe symbol on the door. There's a swinging sign outside with the words "Smelt it, dealt it" written on.
Yeah, you're probably already on this.
Yeah.
But have you considered that the map might have loaded and you might have the light settings wrong?
It's a good point. I will double check.
I might be wrong, but it's worth a check.
If Mark's right, I'm going to give him a point of inspiration.
I'm not sure how to. It shouldn't be. No, there's nothing there that you should be able to see.
But if he's wrong.
I can't see anything wrong with the settings. Sorry.
If he's wrong,
good idea, though.
I'm going to give Neil a point of inspiration, which he can use to get advantage on any of his attack rolls he so wishes.
Oh no!
I accept.
Okay. No, he'll use it on you for giving.
Of course he will. Mate, I played Talisman with him.
Oh yeah. I know what it is. I do. I think. How's that?
Oh, we are enlightened.
I was right.
You were right. I was wrong.
Mark, point of inspiration for Mark.
So yes, you're near this building. Smelt it, dealt it.
With the other map as well, by the way.
Yes, I'll switch those in a second. Sorry, I can't believe I've just done that. So.
Well, should do like an out.
Oh no, the Cerulean territories you should be able to see.
Can't see the first one.
Neil.
Unless that makes a difference. No.
Maybe you should do an outtakes video
Yeah.
of Games Master Boo Boos.
Let me just check the Keymouth City one. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
There you go.
there it is. Oh my
Awesome! Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
Can you share it again, please?
Yeah, you can zoom right in on that as well.
I closed it down. Can you share it again, please?
I have shared it. Yeah.
Oh,
Did you
wow.
draw all that?
Yeah.
Mate, that's awesome.
That is just
You can zoom right in on the houses as well.
Look at
God.
it.
Look how far you can zoom in.
He's a clever bastard, isn't he?
This is amazing, Neil. Oh my God, it was worth the wait.
Yeah.
You are
We forgive you.
Okay, good.
at me. That's awesome.
Let's head back to Penzaro.
Yes, thank you.
So yes, you pass Smelt it, dealt it. Rhodry, this is the local blacksmith.
Mm-hmm.
And you go past some of the neighbours' houses to this building here. A small cottage on the southern edge of the village. It has a tiny vegetable patch at the back. Smoke is curling lazily from the chimney pot.
Well, this is where I grew up. I hope everything's okay. Just brace myself. Rap on the door. Mother?
There's a few moments, but then the door opens and you see your mother. Despite her advancing years and a hard life, she's still beautiful, with a kindly look in her eyes. She has long white hair and deep brown eyes.
You're old.
She's hot.
Rod?
She's hot.
I'd still do it.
Yeah.
That's my mom.
Tiberius takes his helmet off. My grandma. What big breasts you have.
Rhodry, is it really you?
Yeah.
Oh,
It is
Rhodry, I didn't.
Yeah.
Come in, come in.
Roger, I think he just bursts into tears and gives her a big hug.
She gives you
Just
a,
like
a
claps
big
in her
hug
arm.
back, clutching you tightly. Come in, come in, come in, son.
sorry,
Bring
I'm
your
sorry.
friends.
I'm so sorry. Oh yeah, oh yeah.
It's so good to see you. She starts to cry.
It's good to see you too.
Look,
Let everybody join in.
It's so dark.
She takes you through into a small parlour with stone flags on the floor, a wooden table that you know your father built back when he was alive. There's a black iron kettle on the stove, which she goes and puts on top of the stove. Come in, come in. I can't believe you're here.
I got your letter. I pull it out and wave it. Look, see, I got your letter.
What letter?
This letter. Look.
You show her the letter. She looks slightly confused. Can you make a perception check?
Yeah. I probably, yeah. I want to do an insight on her as well.
Mhm.
Insight. Searching her face.
She's overwhelmed with seeing you. She seems confused when you mention the letter. Genuinely confused. She says, I think I did write you a letter. I'm sure it must have been important if I did.
It is. Dearest Rhodry, I hope this letter somehow reaches you. I had heard you gone to Saltmarsh, so I sent it to Miss Wrist. That's Hannah in the Snapping Nine.
Make a perception check as you're reading the letter, please.
Yeah, I'll read it all out to her.
The letter, there's something different about it, but you can't quite put your finger on what. Have a look at it.
Dearest Rhodry, this letter is somehow reaches you. I heard you have gone to Saltmarsh, so I sent it to Miss Wrist in the hope that she knows your whereabouts and pass it on. I think I know what it is. I know that you no longer have any love for Pinzara as the people of the community, especially that in no time. But I pray. Yes, something's missing from the letter.
There's nothing missing from the letter. It's just like it's always looked.
No, because I remember reading a
No.
line.
There is nothing missing from the letter. It's always looked like that.
You.
with our reaction.
With that perception check as well, you notice at the foot of the table there's a water and food bowl, as if for a dog. There's some crumbs of dog food left in the bottom of it.
Do I? You've got. You've got a dog? Why
What?
did you get a dog?
Do you mean we've never had a dog? You know that, Rhodry.
What? What's going on?
Suddenly, the door bangs open. A tall, burly man strides in. A hard life in the barley fields has given him a powerful frame and large, broad shoulders. He's bald, but sports a long, grey, bristly beard. You immediately recognise him, Rhodry. He stands in the doorway and takes one look at you. What the bloody hell are you doing here?
I'm visiting my mother, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. I'm not scared of you.
You're not welcome here. Oh, Bill, come on, he's only just arrived.
Well, I don't want to make any trouble.
Trouble?
If he's gonna...
You've already made trouble, son. All your bloody books and learnings weren't no good against the sickness, were they? We had to burn the forest home after you left. It's the only way we could keep the rest of us clean. Then you bloody went and ran away, didn't you? You couldn't face your guilt, and I don't blame you. You should have stayed away. Bloody place hasn't been the same ever since.
Why
He
didn't you
strides
shut
across
up?
and roughly opens a cupboard door and pulls a bottle of beer out. I want them out! I want them out, Darcy!
Marv, we'll go. We'll find somewhere to stay. I know what his temper's like.
You could stay in Dreams and Drams.
Yep, that sounds great.
Fib and Lev are still there. They'll be pleased to see you at least, Rod.
Oh yeah. Okay.
She comes up and hugs you. I'll talk to Bill.
You will come and visit us, won't you?
Yeah, of course. I can't believe you're back. She gives you a peck on the cheek. Then this huge shadow, this huge hulking form of this burly man comes and stands right behind her, leering over you.
Just brush past him.
That's
Right,
it. Sling your hook, son, just like last time.
Just ignore him. The knuckles on my staff go white. I just carry on walking out.
Oh, big fella, why don't you tone it down a little bit?
Come on, let's not make trouble. Let's find the inn that my mother named, which I've forgotten because I forgot to type it in.
Dreams and Drams.
Dreams and Drams.
Okay, you head out. You head round towards the town square. Dreams and Drams is a large tavern on the market square. It's a welcoming sight, a cosy, inviting-looking building. Though from the lack of noise, it's a little low on patrons at the moment.
Oh, it's just gone 10 now, so don't.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop in a minute, mate.
Right, cool. Something's going on. I need to find out what's going on. I don't want to cause trouble for my mother, so yeah. Do you mind if we just get a room here for the night? I mean, it's pretty late now. I
Yeah,
ask everybody.
let's just make some observations for a few days, see what's going on.
Sounds like a plan.
You head into the tavern. It's empty, apart from two elderly people there, middle-aged, in their mid-50s, both overweight with large, round, ruddy faces. They're smiling faces, and they look up at you as you enter. The common room's neat and tidy. There's some children's toys lying around. There's a rocking horse over in one side, a ball and abacus on the floor. And they look up at you. They're cleaning dishes. Oh, hello, come in. You don't get many staying at the moment. And the woman looks at you. Is that Rhodry Melworth?
Yeah, I've come home.
Oh, welcome
Visit my ma.
back, dear.
How are you? Is everything all right?
Yes, it's fine. Come in. You know the old lady is called Lev and her husband's called Fib. Would you be wanting somewhere to stay?
Yes.
Oh, we've got plenty
Would
of
love-
rooms.
Not many people coming through.
No, not many. Would you like anything to eat?
Oh, what time do we leave? Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
a bit
it's
hungry.
let me just add some time to this.
Just some supper, maybe.
Of course. She comes and hands you a menu. Can everyone make a wisdom check, please? Wisdom saving throw. Sorry.
What the hell?
I was going to say I wasn't actually going to eat it. Oh well, I get advantage.
Ooh.
Okay.
Uh,
Rhodry and Kat, as you look at the menu, you blink, and it seems to change before your very eyes slightly. You notice something else on it.
Choose the transfer support. What? Oh. I hold it. These look really nice.
Wow.
I seem to remember you made some lovely soup. I
Oh
wouldn't
yes,
mind
we can
some
get
of
some
that
chicken
soup. And the
soup.
bread.
You settle
Soup and bread
down.
for me, please.
You settle down for the night, chatting to Fib and Lev. They tell you that things are pretty much continuing as normal, though trade seems to have gone a bit quiet. The town isn't what it was. Several people have left. And they show you up to your rooms. Rhodry, they give you the biggest room, welcoming you back. And as you settle down for the night, I would like everybody to make a perception check, please.
Just skipped over that bit.
Everybody's probably discerned that, but that's what it says on the menu.
Maybe you pass as well. Oh. Yeah, I got that.
Sorry, Kat, you've gone quite quiet.
Sorry.
Atticus, can you make a perception check as well, please? Are you there, Atticus?
I'm here. Sorry, perception check.
Yeah.
Sorry, for some reason I thought you said Tiberius. Don't know why.
Okay. You all settle down for the night. Quite uncomfortable. There is definitely something off here. Your danger sense hasn't kicked in at all, Kat. And you soon all fall into a deep sleep. And then in the middle of the night, Tiberius jerks awake. The first thing you notice is that the room has gone very cold, Tiberius. And there's a thick mist at the window pane. Then briefly, just for the merest moments, even though you're on the first floor of the building, you see a pale white face floating in the mist, watching you. It's humanesque, but it has shadowy crevices where the eyes would be, and its extended jaw and wide mouth reveal long, tall, pearly white teeth. The face withdraws into the mist. And we'll leave the session there for tonight.
Have you got